Hello, Governor. How are you today, Em? Welcome to And That's Why We Drink.
Um, Thank you. You sound beautiful. I know you cannot hear yourself today with your
It's making me
Bluetooth
feel
headphones.
absolutely insane. Like, I
Is it
feel
like
like
when you
I'm...
want to do this? You want to pop your ears?
Yes! That's what it sounds like, Em. Thank you for describing it, because I feel like my brother always says he prefers it this way, but to me, it's like I'm muffled in my own... Like, I'd rather hear the feedback in my own ears,
You
you
just
know?
like to hear yourself yap. Just be
Well,
honest. Just be
obviously.
honest. I mean, I like it. I wouldn't want it any other way. I get to hear myself talk. Oh my god, what a dream job we have.
Ah, man, quit bragging. I just hear you today.
Ah, you're doubly lucky, Christine.
I know, I
Um,
know.
Christine, I'm so sleepy today. Um,
I'm
you can
glad I pushed recording an hour.
let's talk about how lucky I am. Yeah,
You just wrote back like LOL okay, and I was like, "Oh no, did I just ruin M's like plans?" Um Oh no, you just said LOL sure, and I thought, "Uh-oh, I hope M wasn't like ready to hop on."
never.
So I'm glad to hear you went back to sleep, hopefully.
Always.
Good.
Always.
Okay. Good.
But
Okay.
I've got one extra sleepy line on my eye today,
Oh,
so
I
if
see him.
I'm not aging, I'm just mid nap. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, aren't we all?
So,
I
I
get
don't
to
know.
see you in a week, less than a week.
I know. I it ha-
Valentine's Day. Say it a little. Hey, let's do another take. Cut. Em, I need you to act a little more excited to see
alive.
your soulmate next week.
Okay. Then, well, if you're gonna
All
call
right.
yourself that, are we gonna kiss? I don't
All
know. It's
right. Silence
Valentine's
on
Day.
set. Silence on set. Action. You need me to give you
Whee! I was hoping for line.
line. Okay. I'm your understudy. Oh my god, I can't wait to see you, Christine. It's gonna be magical to reunite.
Oh my god, I can't wait to see you, Christine. We're gonna hold hands.
That's why they pay you the big bucks. We've got it, folks.
We're
That's a
gonna
wrap.
Okay, yeah, that's all we're gonna do. Just hold hands. Um,
The
so
end. I had to cut you off before I go. Well, leave something to the imagination for the
before I
audience.
before I really got excited. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Got to rein you in.
Well, are you excited to see me?
I am very well. Obviously, okay. I'm directing a whole day. My directorial debut is
it's like
about our
you're
reunion.
an acting and directing role. You know, your dual payment. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
exactly right. I'm
I
the
love it.
star and I run the show. That's how all my home videos were when I was young, which is incidentally very interesting. No, I'm excited, and it's Valentine's Day that weekend. And turns out Blaze is coming with me up to Cleveland, and we're leaving the baby in Cincinnati with my mom. So Blaze and I are going to have a romantic night in Cleveland with you, and I can't wait.
Oh, you wish you told me that before I needed to get excited about our romantic date, that a man would be there. But okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
this I wanted your it's sort of like Spielberg, like I wanted your real reaction. I didn't want to like give that
uh-huh.
info to you ahead
Do
of
you like
time.
that the
Oh,
act
actually,
two
it's
plot
like what Quentin
twist?
Tarantino does, where he just like suddenly sprays everyone with blood in the So do you know how I know that fact?
No.
Okay, this is one of my favorite facts.
Because you and
Fun
Quentin
facts.
Tarantino spent time in the same asylum, it sounds like.
I wish. Okay, so Quentin
Big
was
Q.
the big Q, or QT as I call him. Wink.
Okay, you're just starting my feelings now.
He'll be in Cleveland too, by the way. Okay, so we were he was filming Inglorious Bastards.
Mhm.
Fucking fantastic film. Have you seen that film, Em?
Sure have.
Okay, so he was filming that, and there's a scene in Germany. I think he filmed it in Berlin, and it was when my cousin Bernadette was living in Berlin. And she's really big into cinema, and she was like, and Brad Pitt, and she was like, I want to be in this movie, and they were hiring extras. So she was an extra in the scene at the end where they're all in the movie theater watching the film, and
Mm,
it's all the Nazis in the movie theater. And so she's playing one of these characters, and actually, if you pause it, which I do every time I watch it, you can find her in the audience.
fun.
But then she told us a story about it after, and she was saying like, "Oh, I could never post about it because they spent hours on her hair and makeup to like look like a not. But you can't post like yourself looking like a Nazi, right? Like
Oh,
on
yeah.
social media. So she was like, I could never even this was like 10 years ago. She's like, I couldn't even post about it on Facebook or anything because I can't have a photo of me dressed like this out
Mhm.
there, right? But she was saying it was so crazy. They spent hours on everyone's hair and makeup. Like it was this huge production, and they had hundreds of extras in the theater audience. And she's like, we were all sitting there, and all of a sudden, we just got like sprayed with something, and everyone started screaming. And he had like not told anyone that during like the fire scene or he's literally like shouting fire in a crowded theater, but he did it
Mhm.
for cinema.
Mhm.
And she was like, it was fucking terrifying. Like everybody just
Yeah.
suddenly had blood on them. And she was like, but he did it
Oh,
so that there would be an actual reaction. And I was like, nowadays I don't think that would
it
fly
would not fly today.
anymore.
No.
No, it's not cool to do that. So,
But at
but
the time,
anyway,
he thought he was he told
I mean, it's
somebody,
a
"I'm getting
great
these
scene.
extras, the story of a lifetime." Like,
Yeah, yeah, and they can never post about it on the internet.
that's the
That's the most
sickest
Quentin
part of all.
Tarantino bullshit I've ever heard. So
Yeah.
that's my fun fact about Quentin. And I did see him several times because he runs that theater in Los Feliz.
Mhm.
Or is it in Los Feliz? No, it's not in Los Feliz. I forget where it
I
is,
think
but he
it's Los
runs like
Feliz. Or is it?
it's somewhere else, I think. But he
Oh,
runs this Quentin Tarantino theater where they only play his movies, and he goes there all the time. And
that's
it's
like
very
if we
silly.
owned like a radio station and they just played
It's
our podcast all the time.
and we would just go listen to our own podcast.
Yeah.
Like it's just exactly how it sounds, folks. But he's kind of he's just a character, you know?
Dare I ask, is your cousin Bernadette named after Birdie?
Yeah.
It
Fun fact.
does sound like something Bernie would also do. So,
I mean, I don't know how he did it because it's not his kid, but it's his sister's kid.
it sounds like
And
they've got the
she's
same spirit. Tells you that.
I don't know that it was necessarily just that, but I'm sure that's part of it.
Mhm.
But also, she's the eldest cousin, like on my dad's side, and he is her godfather, so that is very possible that that's
Hmm,
why. Yeah. So I don't
nice.
think I ever put that together, really.
Wow, really? The second
Yeah.
anyone has any name resembling my father's name at all, I'm like, oh no. Hang
When
on,
I was a
how
kid, my
are
dad
you
had a
related?
my dad had a painting that she made on the wall, and I was always like, I wish you'd put a painting of mine on the wall.
If he said, well,
That's
you should
so
have been
dark.
named after me, then
I
it would have
know.
clicked a little faster,
You know
maybe.
what's so fucked up? He named me. So it's like, wow,
I'm
really? You
honestly
did this?
surprised that either of our fathers did not name us after them. Shocked.
Well, I mean, my brother
Sounds like
got
something they would
the
do.
middle name after himself, so.
Hmm. Well, okay. Well, dodged a bullet, Christine. Well done.
Mhm.
Is there a reason why you drink? / what do you drink? I saw an interesting non-water next to you.
Thank you so much for noticing. This is my special, and that's why I drink textured cup for all my sensory girlies out there. It's extremely satisfying, and I've broken one or two of them, and because I drop everything I
Mhm.
hold ever, and I broke the lid of this, and then I ordered another one through our merch people, but then I broke that one, and then I was like, Christine, you need to get it together. So I had to start paying on our website to
Oh,
order it.
Christine.
Because I just don't want to make Jacqueline send us any more free shit just because I keep breaking it. So I bought this one.
You know what? It's about time. So
I know, I'm saying I can't keep breaking shit and then just like using our money to pay for it. So I was like, you know what? I mean, I can, but sometimes I choose not to.
I would let you get away with it, Christine.
I know you would, and you did for so long. And this has iced coffee in it.
Nice. What do you put
Thank
in your
you.
iced coffee these days?
So I get the lightly sweetened or not too sweet iced coffee Stoke brand from the grocery store, and then I just put some whole milk in it.
Lovely.
So it's like a little sweet, but it's a nice afternoon treat. What are you
Nice.
drinking today, Em?
I'm doing the ADHD thing and I'm drinking more than one drink.
Oh, me too.
Fun.
I
What's the
didn't
other
know
one?
we were on the same page.
Oh,
but
you have
we
two
are.
fancy cups.
I have
It's on the table. Well, that you're drinking out of.
I have like 6 different beverage containers near me.
How
but
many of
I'm
them
only
are
drinking
dirty and just
actively
lying on the floor?
4. What's 6 minus 2? 4.
Well, I'm drinking one from a local place, and they're for Valentine's Day using heart-shaped straws, which is lovely.
Excuse? That's cute.
I didn't know
Can I
that was
see?
possible. Yeah, hang on.
Oh, so it's like the shape.
Let me suckle on the
that's
straw for a second.
That's fancy, I feel. Like that feels like an extra expense on their part.
That's what I'm saying. And at first I thought like I got a bent broken straw and I was like,
I
this
know,
is a
right?
fucking heart. Like it doesn't look like it
Wait.
on camera. It's a little divot, but I know I'm not crazy because there's also an indent on the straw. Like it's
Yeah, I
supposed
see
to
it.
be
I
there.
see it.
So it is tiny,
Oh, I
kind of
see.
tiny heart shaped.
Oh my god, that is a wild random
But
accessory that they
doesn't it,
brought out.
wouldn't
It's
you
kind
first think, oh, I have a broken straw?
Yeah, I'd be like, "Give me a new one."
They really hoped that I would investigate
Do you like that
instead
I
of get
said
mad.
I would be like, "Give me a new one," as if I would ever fucking do that. They could give me a cup of mud and throw it on my feet, and I'd be like, "Thank you. This is exactly what I wanted with the
Uh,
bed straw."
Well, so this is one of the local shops out here where they know my order a little too well. And it's a London Fog, but I think I'm gonna have to stop using them for a little bit because the drink I think is, when we were all 13 and discovered a frappuccino and like we had too many and
Oh,
like it
yeah,
just became
dark
like a
days.
regular like, oh, when you're going to the mall, obviously you're gonna have a frappuccino.
Well,
Oh,
and it
when
was
your
like
mom drives you
before we
somewhere.
was before the alternative milks became popular, so it was always like whole milk and you would be I mean, I have a splash of it, right? But like if you were drinking a whole milk frappuccino or whatever, like, oh, your stomach, you know?
So I think I need to take some time off just because I'm realizing that not realizing I knew how sugary and intensely non-healthy this drink is, but I'm starting to uh just feel a little woozy if I drink them. So and it's not like the place's fault at all. I think I just need to not have so much like
You're just like
cream and sugar,
over consuming it.
So I'm letting myself have it on Fridays. Yay. And it is Friday
Nice.
when we record. That's my first drink. My second one is water, but it's in my favorite cup these days. It's the Bratz dolls and it says dump him.
Wait, I've
Um,
never seen this before. I'm sorry. This is show and tell worthy. Let me see this. Dump him, brat stalls with halos, and a hot pink lid.
yeah.
Where in the fuck? That is the most amazing piece of beverage.
Take one guess where I got this fucking thing because it is in fact Spencer's Gifts.
Okay, well, that was in my top 3. I was thinking Instagram, Spencer's Gifts, or Etsy.
Instagram and
sure.
TikTok is a good idea, is a good guess. But no, I got this from, it is the, God, everyone from Jersey is going to scream at me. It's the one that's not the Mall of America. It's the Jersey version. I think it's called American Dream, but it's like just as big or
I've never
near
heard
the
of it.
size.
Here, let me piss him off. I've never heard of it.
To be fair, I also had never heard of it, and Mall of America is like, I think, just a more famous version, but it is the exact same thing. Maybe the sizes are like a little off before I piss somebody out there off, but they're the same thing. It's just a massive fucking mall. One whole floor is an amusement park.
Really? Wow.
It was very fun. But Tanner and I, we took my may she rest in peace. We took my Gammy's car out for a joyride when I was last in New York, and we ended up in Jersey and drove to American Dream, where my first stop was Spencer's Gifts, and I bought this cup. So
R.I.P.
you know what?
Gammy.
The car is still being put to good use, Gams. You're good.
She would have wanted this.
I would have bought her a matching Dump Hem Bratz cup, and she would have been really confused, but would have loved the spirit of it.
She would have taken out her pocketbook and paid for it herself.
If she knew I loved it, she would have been like, I don't understand. You are 32, but okay. Hey, girl, Anyway, so I'm drinking water and I'm drinking.
Why do you drink? Because of your grandma died? I'm sorry. Sometimes my whole personality becomes an intrusive thought, and it's so unpleasant. And I know it is, and I'm sorry.
Oh no, we're good. She's up there. She's chilling.
I'll probably be hearing from her later, and I do apologize.
No, I've been waiting to hear from her for 5 years. She hasn't shown up yet.
You should have tried bullying her.
You're right. Maybe I'll try that later.
I guess I'm just bullying you, honestly.
It's fine. You're bullying all of us. The whole, dead and alive. The whole line.
Yeah, it's about time you recognize that. Yeah.
Why do I drink? I drink because I don't know what's happening, but apparently Allison is taking me somewhere tomorrow. It is some sort of planned date that requires a mild road trip, so I don't know where she's taking
I
me.
feel like I just can't stop thinking about the asylum that I share with Quentin
with
Tarantino. Maybe she's
with Big
dropping you.
Q Dog.
Yeah, maybe she's dropping you off here.
She's
She's
like, I already
taking me
filled out the paperwork.
somewhere, and it's a drive, and I don't know where we're going.
She did tell
Like,
me, she did start it with, we're gonna wake up early, but you can sleep in the car, and that does feel a little like, don't
that
open your
feels
eyes.
like you're going somewhere you don't want to go.
She said that there will be a pit stop for donuts, so that should help things.
Yeah, she's trying to sweeten the deal. I don't know about this.
I don't know either. You're right. Actually, as I'm saying all of it, it does sound like she's slowly
Doesn't it
gonna
start
like
to sound
bribe
fishy?
me into an asylum.
It feels like you're being lured somewhere with the promise of a nap and donuts, which, I mean, to be fair, I've done that to you before, and I've never put you in an asylum. I mean, not for
Well,
lack of trying.
It's because you're also there. It's
Oh, right. Exactly.
you have to leave to bring me in, you know
Well,
what I'm saying?
that's right. I keep referring you, like thinking it's sort of like, oh, you copy and paste
Like
my
$20
referral code.
off your next year.
I would love to get like a month of free prescriptions or something, benzos or something, but they won't let me do that because I'm in here.
Well, I don't know where she's taking me. I have a feeling she's taking me to like the Newport area of California, but we've been there before, and she said
I got excited. I was like, what? Do you think you're flying here early?
Oh, no, I didn't mean Newport, Kentucky. I'm sorry.
You were like, okay, Christine, weirdo. I'm like, that's the name of my town.
I wonder only because there's a donut place you really like over there, and it's way too far to go unless like you're driving that direction.
You mentioned it on a recent episode. I wonder if maybe it like got her gears going.
Maybe. But then she also said, oh, we're going somewhere you don't know about. I don't know how her brain works yet. It's been like 8 years, but I still don't totally get it.
It's not time yet. You haven't quite figured out the formula. Hey, I've known her like 12 years. I still don't know. So
we really, you would, if someone saw us communicating, you would think that we don't know each other all that well, because every now and then
I'm working on a documentary.
She said something earlier this week, and I remember thinking like, I need you to lie about this, because whatever you're going to say is going to piss me off. And
don't tell me the truth, please.
Yeah, and so I asked, just being like, I wonder if she'd tell the truth, and she did, and I was like, and all I said after that was, lie. Like, I was like, please. I need you to get it together. And then I said something. She pissed me right off recently. Where she
I love this.
I had been like stacking my snacks like a crazed person. I had them like in a row, and I needed to eat them in a certain order, obviously.
Understood.
And she just grabbed right from the middle, and first of all, didn't even ask if she could have one, and then just took it out of the middle of the row, and then just ate it. And I went, and you know what I said? There was a pregnant pause, and then I went, to be known is to be loved, and apparently you don't love me, because why would you do that?
Wow, and that's beautifully put.
She before it touched her lips, she put her right back in the row. She knew what she did.
Wow, so, you caught her and shamed her before it even touched her lips. That's amazing.
I had seconds to spare.
Maybe you do know her. Honestly, maybe you do know her better. You both seem to know each other better. You just sometimes push the envelope. Or
she seems to respond well to like me forcing drama onto the relationship, which is exactly how I like it. So
I was gonna say maybe this is the balance you two just find works.
She kind of likes getting yelled at, I think. That's how she's operating, it seems. Anyway, I don't know where she's taking me on my surprise romantic trip. But so if I know her at all, I know the donut place she wants to take me, which means I know the direction we're driving.
Okay.
But I really don't know where we're going if we haven't been there before. So I'll keep you updated.
Well, I can't wait to find out. Okay, good to know. Now I drink because, well, I wasn't even, well, first of all, I want to say quickly before I get emails or tweets, I'm sorry if I sounded glib or rude about, or jokey about mental health asylums. I wasn't, we said like asylum, and I said,
I have a feeling
I tried to refer you. I don't know. I felt like it comes from a place of
insanity,
internal knowing and insanity. So don't worry. Okay, I wasn't trying to like mock the concept of.
I have a feeling our listeners. know where
I
we
hope so.
stand.
I just felt I needed to clear there. Second thing, I wasn't even going to talk about this yet because I felt like I wasn't ready to talk about it yet. But then this morning I pulled the Emperor card when I
Mm,
did like my little tarot reading with Leona. Don't worry about it. And so I
precious.
pulled the Emperor and it said like make a bold move. It was basically like make a bold move today or in your career, like take action. And I was like, you know what? I'm
Why
going to
am I
talk about it.
always at the mercy of your bold moves that are impulsive also? Oh my God.
Because you like it. Part of you likes it and you know it.
You know,
And that's why this
to be
works.
loved is to be known.
To be
And
known is to be loved. Yeah.
I do like the drama. So,
Yes!
okay, take it away.
Okay. And it's not even about you, really. I mean, I'm sure it'll become about you.
Okay, good.
I
Let's
mean,
get
we
there.
all know all roads lead to the Empire. Okay, don't worry. But for a moment, I will take the spotlight because I'm going to be streaming for a bit, I think. And I really took some time to like think on like what I wanted it to be vibes wise and like content wise. I think what I'm going to do, because in the past I've done Neopets on stream and like that was really fun, but it was just a little crazy and I haven't had time to do that again. I think what I'm going to start doing is like a cozy like puzzle hour type thing where I'm like doing a
Nice.
puzzle or doing my I have like a Wild West Lego set. So like maybe
Mm-hmm.
something like that and then just chat with people and play kind of like the lo-fi, copyright free stuff or whatever. Maybe even like my sister-in-law's band or something. I don't know. And just like play some music and chat. And I think I'm going to try doing that just for funsies on Twitch. But I did change my username because also as part of that, I was like, I want to change my username. So I'm
Two.
now Stina Bean
Mm-hmm.
because as a kid, my nickname was Stina, and I've always missed that nickname, Stina. And so it's STEENABEAN, Stina Bean. So yeah, come follow me on Twitch, and maybe one of these days, probably any day now, I'm going to start streaming there. So come follow me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The tarot told me to do it.
Oh,
This was
okay.
an idea I had like yesterday.
What
So
card
I
is
don't.
this? The Emperor?
Yeah, it's like the kind of
Nice.
the masculine side of taking action.
Nice.
That's what it symbolizes.
I better pull the Emperor card right before I get that box of donuts because I'm about to really take
Make
advantage of that
moves.
situation.
Make moves. Yeah,
Do
that's
something
right.
bold. So,
Mm-hmm.
wow. Okay. Well, congrats on your. What I'm trying to think. Do you have a name for it yet? This
Oh,
little
so that's the
vibe.
other thing. I was like, maybe I call it like the missing piece, but that sounds so dramatic. So then I was like, well, maybe just like
I'm your
puzzle
missing
hour.
piece.
I know, it's me. Who is it? It's M. At the end, we find out it was you all along. I don't know yet, and I was hoping people could help me kind of. But I think the vibe of the aesthetic of it that I'm having an artist design like a nice little layout and all that overlay. And the keywords I use are like vintage, Halloweeny, vintage, but not too cutesy,
Nice.
Victorian-esque kind of, just cozy but and uncozy. I don't know. It's a lot of words, okay? But it'll be cozy. It'll be like I'm thinking of getting one of those fake fireplaces.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
maybe when you visit me next week, I'll make you sit with me
Okay. I'll just
and
nap
do it.
in the corner. I'll just be
Oh,
like,
that's actually fun, and we can have like a nap counter of like every time you roll over or something.
that'd be beautiful. Every time I
Yeah.
snore,
Mhm.
you can just keep tabs on the whole thing, actually. That'd be like, it'd
I'll
be
have
like
to tell that.
everyone would be my village aura ring.
That's exactly right. Or someone's. Oh my god, I love that the village ring. We'll all count your breaths. Someone will count your breaths. I'll just have a finger on on your pulse just in case.
Yep. Just put your finger under my nose, make sure there's breath. That's all I really need. It will look like
Yep.
I'm not breathing, but don't worry.
The
I'll be
alive
back.
meter will be green
I'll be back.
for now.
Well, that sounds very, very lovely, Christy. I'm very excited for you.
Thank you, Em. This is me forcing relaxation into my own life. Like you can do a puzzle if you make it part of your work. Oh my god. It's fine.
That's like Allison can't. She's very, very task oriented, and she can only relax if it's on the to-do list. It's very odd.
Me too. Yeah. And I can only relax if there's a end product, which sounds so fucked up, but whatever.
Yeah. I every now and then I'm like, girl, like just sit down. And then she's like, but I have to. And I'm like, you have to sit down. That's the rule. Now sit down. And then all of a sudden you can magically sit down.
Sit down o'clock.
Yeah. So I could see how the two of you turned out to be your own little frenemies, I suppose, just by trying to accomplish something relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, what else is there, Christine? Do we have anything we have to plug? I don't think so.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
When this comes out,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, you'll just have missed our shows. Never mind. You'll have missed our Cleveland and Cincinnati shows. But we have a bunch of shows coming up, and a lot of them are close to being sold out, and some of them are not anywhere close to being sold out. So please go buy your tickets, because we really want to have full houses at our shows. It's so much fun to have a big crowd, especially with drinking games and all that fun stuff. So make sure you get your tickets. We have a lot of new cities we're going to this year, like kind of all over the place. So check our website, and that's where you drink.com/live. And this is the last time we're doing, as far as we know, this tour, the specific tour. So it's your last shot to see Poor Decisions, and it's a doozy, and it's one of our favorites so far, if not our favorite.
It's my favorite so far.
Yeah, so come see it live. You just missed Cleveland and Cincy, but there's a lot more coming up, so go check it out.
I am excited to go back to my traveling ways for a second next week.
I know. It feels like it's been a little minute.
And I am coming in early, but I don't know what I'll be doing yet in your own hometown. If you end up free, I think I'll just end up on your couch. But if you end up not free, then I'm just gonna go be a tourist for a day. And
yay, come play with me. I want to take you to Skyline, because I'm still mad that you ate Skyline and said you didn't like it, but you never ate it with me. And
I literally ate it with you.
Where?
You had it ordered.
We ate it. Did you eat it at my wedding, maybe?
Oh, so I've eaten it twice. When on earth have I ever not been near you? This will be the first time I'm ever doing anything in Cincinnati without you. If I end up doing something on my own.
No, you and Allison hung out before my wedding and stuff. I thought that's when you would have eaten it.
No.
Oh.
No. Do you think Allison's gonna eat chili with spaghetti with chili on it?
I mean, listen, I've probably made her do it before, so.
Yeah, we've ordered it. Like I've had it at your wedding, and we had it for like a dinner one time. I don't recall. Okay, well,
I might make you do it again then.
Okay, great. I'll bring a sandwich.
Hey, all right. You brought lunch meat to my wedding also, so I guess that does track. Yeah. You just bring some deli
hungry meat. Every time you order this stupid Skyline, so I'm gonna have to get another sandwich.
We're gonna make it work, and I wouldn't even worry about it. Things are gonna change for you mighty soon.
Big things.
And that's a threat.
Yeah, I can sense the tension for sure on this. Yeah, don't worry.
I caught Blaze using my Orgain again, and I said, "Again?"
I have been seeing that man of yours and the rippling muscles that are brand new on him.
Up.
What is going on? Oh yeah, I know. It's him stealing your Orgain.
This podcast is sponsored by Orgain. Orgain is famous for their organic plant protein powder. It packs 21 grams of complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids. So I and Blaze know that we are getting the nutrition we need without the things we try to avoid, like soy, artificial sweeteners, which are a no-go for me big time, flavors, preservatives. Plus, their products are handcrafted with high-quality ingredients that makes it taste delicioso.
And Orgain is simple. It's made so you can literally just add water and go. No more time-consuming prep to get you the nutrients you need. If you are someone like me who just a task is pretty impossible unless it is beyond simple, Orgain is for you.
Remember, there are no quick fixes when it comes to your health. If you want more protein, give Orgain organic plant protein powder a try. Head to Orgain.com/drink and use code DRINK for 30% off your order. That's the best offer you'll find, but you'll have to use our code DRINK for 30% off. Today's episode is brought to you by Ollie. Clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. Or if you're Geo, just kind of like flop over. You don't have to be a veterinary nutritionist to know that feeding your dog real whole foods with minimal processing is one of the best choices you can make for their health. A perfectly portioned whole fresh food diet has been proven to extend your pup's life by 2.5 years. And who doesn't want more time with their best friend? So here's how it works. Fill out Ollie's 30-second quiz, and they'll create a customized meal plan based on your pup's weight, activity level, and other health info. Ollie then crunches the numbers and recommends the right recipes and daily portions for your precious pup based on hundreds of thousands of real dog results. And for any first-timers, Ollie will send out your pup's first box with 2 weeks' worth of meals and a guide on how to gradually switch them over to their new diet. That's Gio's favorite part, because when you switch them over, they get like kind of half and half, and oh boy, does he love it. Ollie offers 3 meal plans to choose from. You can choose between a full fresh plan, maybe if you just want to use the fresh as a topper, or a mixed plan with their freshly baked recipes for your special furry child. So give your pup a fresh start this new year by letting them test a personalized meal plan with Ollie. Head to ollie.com/drink, tell them all about your dog, and use code DRINK to get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a clean bowl guarantee on the first box, so if you're not completely satisfied, you will get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/drink and enter code DRINK to get 60% off your first box. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie.
Okay, so I have a story for you straight out of England. This is the story of the cage.
What? That's
Cage.
creepy. Wasn't there a squirrel cage, or am I making that up?
Yes, that is in Potawatomi County. Potawatomi County, something, Iowa.
I was breathing in to say, I can't believe how smoothly you just said that, and then you said
Potawatomi.
Potawatomi
economy. No. Potawatomi County, Council Bluffs, Iowa.
I can't believe you remember that. That's deeply insane that you remember all of those syllables.
When it's something that crazy, you just remember.
I don't
remember a lot of information, but I do remember that.
Potawatomi County.
That's a squirrel cage jail. Also,
okay,
I think
so this is different.
Yeah, this one's in England. They don't have a squirrel cage jail. Also, I don't even think they can say squirrel over there. Isn't that like one of the hardest words in the American dialect for them to say? Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I could see that. I didn't know that.
I've seen a lot of interviews of like English accent actors all saying the hardest way to fake an American accent is to say squirrel.
That's so fucked up. You know who would put that in all of his fucking movies? Is Quentin Tarantino.
And then he'd splatter blood on them and then go, say squirrel! And they go, squirrel, squirrel.
He would just look out. Theaters 2026.
So the cage is in St Osyth. It's in It's in Essex, England. I saw some websites say that the locals call it instead of it being St Osyth. Jesus, it's called Tosie. Apparently, they nicknamed it. Whatever. We're going with St Osyth because I know that that's actually how it's pronounced.
St Osyth.
St Osyth, yeah.
Osyth. Okay.
It does end up sounding a little like Sane Toes. St Osyth. Fun fact, before it was called that horrid name, it was called Chich, which is at least easier to say.
A little bit.
But here is the reason why it switched from Chich to St. Osyth. There is a legend about a noblewoman and an abbess named Osyth, and her father was some royalty. And she ended up being the first abbess in the area of the priory, which is its own big location here. Anyway, so Osyth is this noblewoman and abbess, and she lived at the nunnery, priory, whatever you want to call it, and the Vikings raided the town, and they demanded that everyone pray to their gods, but Osyth refused. And as her punishment, she was beheaded.
Osyth said no to Odin.
Yeah.
Do you like my fun joke?
She said Nodin.
Fuck, that's way better.
So she was beheaded, and the only reason
that's so fucked up. I like didn't really hit me that happened until after I made my hilarious joke, and now I'm like, yikes.
After you killed it, you forgot that they killed her. You know what I'm saying?
That's really effed up. Sorry. But yeah, okay, so wow. That seems like a harsh punishment, but whatever.
And I like how I also called her having a horrid name when her name is Saint Osyth. So anyway,
wow.
We're really not killing it today.
Wow,
Although they
I'm
are.
really I know. What are we doing? I feel like we're
Are we
on
okay?
some weird No, I feel like we're trying to like get in trouble. Are we pulling an Allison and like eating a cracker out of the middle of the row?
I guess
Is that
so.
what
Quick, say something that'll cancel you. No.
Hmm.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Okay, so let's get that out of our system. The Vikings raided the town. They demanded everyone to pray to their gods, but Osyth refused. She was beheaded. And the only reason I even mention this, like the etymology to the name of the village, is because there's a bit of a ghost story here where she was beheaded after all this, but then later on that day ended up resurrecting without her head,
Oh.
picked up her head, and it carried it under her arm back to the nunnery. And she walked all the way to the nunnery with her head in her hands to warn the others of the Vikings raiding the town. And then she collapsed and died. But after that, the village was named St. Osyth in her honor for protecting the good Christians of the town from the Vikings.
Wow. Okay. So the story goes that she was still alive, or was she?
I think she was a dead person, and
She just resurrected long enough. Okay,
Yes.
so that's why she's a saint. I'm assuming because
yes,
it's just because Catholics love when people like resurrect. You know, they're all about
They
it. They're
love-
so hot.
Ooh,
They're so
they
hot
eat
for
it up.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I do think I saw some source say something along the lines of like guardian angels carried her back to the nunnery or something. But the main thing is she carried her own head and then told them herself. So like the head in her hands is yapping away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I guess she had to bring the. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you have to make an announcement.
Otherwise, it's
I guess you gotta
horrible.
bring your
A
head.
horrible game of charades.
Yeah, precisely. Really, really gruesome.
And you know the nuns were going to listen to you if the beheaded one is the one talking. You're
Yeah,
like, I won't
yeah.
ever forget this moment.
You
I'll remember-
automatically get the floor, I would say, or the talking stick. You know, like
holding court
it's
for the rest of time. Yeah.
big time.
So anyway, fun fact, that's why the town is called St. Osyth. And during the Reformation, 16th century, this is when fear started growing in England of witchcraft. Because of this, Parliament made witchcraft punishable by death. Of course, they just have to go big or go home every time. The first time was in the 1540s. Another time was in the 1560s. So there was a law, then it went away, then they came up with law number 2, both of them making witchcraft a capital punishment. But there was a difference between the two laws. So the original one in the 1540s, it was pretty ironically lawless. It was that regardless of the witchcraft happening, capital punishment. The second time around, the new law was witchcraft is only punishable by death if the witchcraft has been found to harm somebody.
Okay.
Which,
wow.
I love that we're growing.
Oh wow, yeah, like leaps and bounds, baby.
Fun fact. Then there was a third law later. This doesn't get brought up. This is like 40, 50 years in the future of the story. But just wanted to say, fun fact, there is a third law that ends up in place where witchcraft becomes a capital punishment again for any reason. So like we end up
so they
reverting.
They took one step forward, 2 steps back. Got it.
But this is a quote. I think this was from a Smithsonian article I read. And I thought was very interesting, which is why I bring this up. Although the law put in place had all forms of witchcraft being punishable by death, the conviction rate with witchcraft actually went down under this law because one of the other things this law did was outlaw the use of torture to get a confession.
Aha! Well, that's a big difference. So maybe we are a couple steps ahead.
Interesting, yes. So we are operating on law 2, the middle one. That is only if you're harming somebody. And at this time, the legal procedure for laws against witchcraft involved being, the accused at least, being examined by the justice of the peace.
Which is a man, always.
Always a man. So they were also like elder members of the community, of course. God. So they're like, I don't know, from a different generation, let's just put it that way.
They're old men who are going to look at naked women to determine if they should live or not.
And if they think you're ugly and maybe unbangable, all of a sudden you're a witch. I think that's how this goes.
Or either way. I think probably the other way happened too.
Yeah, I think if they feel
I don't
any
think it
sense
even
of rejection, insecurity, dislike, disgust, any of those,
I
insert a
think it's just
word.
sort of a lose-lose, you know?
Yeah, I think unless you are their wife and they like you, you're probably going to be accused of
Might be
of
big
witchcraft.
trouble.
And on top of it, these like weren't even people with legal expertise. Of course, they were just like the powerful people in town. So a lot of time it was the
Mhm.
local property owner, the one who owned the most property. He just got to also be the justice of the peace.
Yuck.
If the justice deemed the accused a potential witch, which happened a little too often, the accused would then be arraigned. They could enter a plea. Um, and very rarely would they ever plead innocent. I'm saying things to you that you and our listeners all know, but just to give you a taste of how this is going to go. Very rarely the accused would ever actually plead innocent of witchcraft. They would plead guilty because they were warned that if they sought forgiveness instead of denying it even longer, their chances of an empathetic or sympathetic jury
So they're
would.
saying like take the plea like take the plea, take the L, say you did it, and it'll
Mhm.
be less painful than going through the whole process of a jury who will definitely find you guilty.
You
That
get
kind of
it.
threat. Okay.
Mhm. But
Yeah.
at least you looked like you sought out forgiveness and you were like
Mhm.
admitting which is the first part of the problem is like accept who you are, girl, you know?
Mhm. Give me the serenity of accepting who I am, girl.
Yes. So, until their actual trial, or if they were found guilty and awaiting a death sentence or their death row moment, the accused would end up in their local jail. And this jail in this village happened to be the St. Osyth Cage, literally
Ugh,
called the Cage.
cage.
The Cage was around for at least 325 years. I forget.
Jesus.
Reminder to all the Americans, we are in a different location and things are that old.
Mhm.
I know I say it every time, and I'm sure everyone not in the US is bored of that, but it's more for me. I have to remind myself every time.
Jim Harold talks about it all the time too. He's like, here, a house that's 100 years old is considered old, and like in other places, that's a new build.
I know. Well, like my house is like just had its 75th birthday. So mad I didn't know in time, or we would have thrown a party for her. But 75 years old, I'm like, this is the oldest house I'll ever live in, and it's
Oh my
like
god, no way! Come on,
I
that's
don't. It
lame.
just doesn't even occur to me. I would just be
Hey,
like,
you
what?
want to celebrate my house's 150th? Because that's coming up in a couple years.
More than anything.
Really? I feel like you're the only
Yes.
other person who will care to do that with me. So,
If you, I'm telling you now, and I'm not saying this for the audience, I'm saying this for you to really sit on. If
Mhm.
I say yes to this, I'm gonna go balls to the wall, and I need you to be matching the energy with me on this because it's gonna be nutty.
I'm fucking so in.
Okay, perfect. I can't wait. I already have
I don't
ideas.
even
I
have
literally
words for how
instantaneously have 5 ideas for you
I'm
for
the
this
dog
house.
that's already in the sidecar, and you're like, wait, where did the dog go? I'm in the
Great.
sidecar. Yeah,
Perfect. Okay.
you get it.
We will be discussing later. So, the cage, the place where it was just a holding cell essentially,
Mm.
mid trial.
Like a 400-year-old holding cell. That sounds a 400-year-old cage. We're just gonna keep you in here. Where
I
this beheaded, named after this beheaded woman.
and like this is again just for us, but I don't really think I realize how far away 325 years was, but this thing closed in only 1908. In the 1900s, this thing closed, and it has been
Wow.
open since at least the 1580s.
Oh my lord. Okay.
So think of how
That's.
many prisoners have been in there. Think of how many deaths, how many
I mean, that's
illnesses.
like a half a millennia. Like that's
Mm,
so many fucking years.
so many years. And at different times, this also didn't just hold men, but women and children.
Right.
For there was huge chunks of time where it was mainly like just like a drunk tank and for petty crime,
Mm.
but there was certainly some like
And you know
worse
they're not like
activity.
sanitizing that thing either. Just saying for
How
like
would you sanitize
health
something in the
hazards.
1580s?
Yeah, right.
You
You'd
like just
probably
don't cough on it, like
put manure all over it and be like, now it's clean.
yeah. So anyway, of the people who spent time there, and this is just one of many. She is probably the most famous case to come out of this jail, but I mean, it's still add 300 plus years of more people. The most famous local case of someone staying at the cage was an alleged witch, and her name was Ursula Kemp, which
Mm.
Ursula has never sounded to me like a name that doesn't belong to a villain. I always, maybe that's how they thought that she was a witch from day one. They're like,
Yeah.
Ursula?
The day
Never
she was
met
born. Her mom
a
looked at her and was like,
hero.
that's an Ursula if I ever saw one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever known an Ursula in real life?
No, only hand-drawn or Phoebe Buffay's evil sister.
Only hand what?
Hand-drawn.
What's that mean?
A cartoon.
Oh. Why'd you say hand drawn?
Because it was drawn by hand.
Oh. Okay.
Have you ever met an Ursula?
Yeah.
And?
She was so evil. She
It
was
stands true.
this old ass German lady. I feel I mean, looking back, like it's really sad because we were kids and I didn't realize like the nuance of it, but she was really a mean lady to us and I was a small child, so I feel like I don't give her that much leeway. But ultimately she ended up with Alzheimer's, and she was in Maryland, like where we would visit sometimes, and she would do like puzzles with us and stuff. And I just remember her like we'd play categories and stuff. She would like call me stupid. She was so mean, and this was like well before she ever
Is
you
Ursula
know.
the beginning of your stupid complex?
I'm sure it's right there in the middle
Okay.
somewhere.
I know if like
Because
we figured it out, you know?
well, I think maybe you know what? It's a good shout, especially because my dad was there and thought it was very funny. So I think like it at least didn't help my stupid complex, you know, or my
Interesting.
inferiority complex. So I think yeah, Ursula, the one I knew, and she was like one of those scary German ladies where you're like, I don't
Say
even want
say
to
no more.
look you in the eye. Yes. And so I knew one real life, not hand drawn Ursula. I don't know what I thought you meant. I'm sorry. I thought you meant like someone drew. It doesn't matter. I knew one animated one, hand drawn one, and one very evil lady who I think was just sad, but treated me not nicely.
There's just some names that have that energy to it, but then also it's like chicken or the egg. Like, did it ever have that energy, or is it just that I've seen enough people
And
with
I'm
that
sure there's
name? You know what I
plenty
mean?
of like people named Ursula who are just like nice,
Lovely.
fine,
I'm sure.
lovely.
Haven't met you yet. If you are a nice Ursula, come on down. I'll
Can
let
you
you
come
know how I
change?
feel about you.
Can you change our mind? Because I really don't want my only memory to be of me not understanding what hand drawn means, and of that old lady who didn't let me do the puzzle.
It's like Chelsea's and Kelsey's. I believe there is good out there. I believe that. Have not seen it with my own eyes just yet. But
that's beautiful faith that you have, though.
I'm hoping someone will prove me wrong. And
It's
if
like
your name happens to be Chelsea or Kelsey and your middle name's Ursula, that's a double whammy in my book. So
wow.
whenever you're
Chelsea
ready.
Ursula.
Yeah, I think Ursula is more of a family name these days, it seems.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the most famous case to come out of this prison called the Cage is this alleged witch named Ursula Kemp. I will say, I think this Ursula probably was like a fine fucking person, but
yeah,
immediately someone heard her name and had bias and went, "No, you're a witch."
you're a witch.
So Ursula was a midwife, which of course a lot of them
that's the reason. Yeah,
were targets for this. She was also a wet nurse, which also is often one of the reasons that people end up being witches. And she was an herbal medical practitioner, so she was.
So the name didn't even matter. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Oh, and P.S. her name was Ursula. So
yeah, right. That just was an afterthought, honestly.
So this is again in the 1580s. To my knowledge, this is like the beginning of the Cage's time. I don't know if the Cage existed before the 1580s. So maybe this was like a brand new building and they were just throwing everyone in there. But
they were like, Ursula, look, you get the finest cage.
You're one of the
most
first
modern day cage you could ever find in the 1500s.
Well, usually I am pretty neutral on this name, but in this story, we hate the name Grace. Hate it.
Oh, I actually like that name. Yeah, but okay, I can get on board with the dislike if it's for the story.
So Ursula gets into a few spats with her neighbor Grace in the 1580s. Grace, I think, is threat zero here. I think she's the beginning of all of our problems because First, Grace goes to Ursula, who is a healer, to heal her when she was sick. Grace is like, oh, I'm not feeling right. Can you help me out? Then at some point, although Ursula has healed her and allegedly made Grace feel better, apparently Ursula and Grace argue about the payment. And Grace is like, I'm not paying this. And Ursula gets mad. Now, at the same time, a few days later, Grace's symptoms come back.
Okay.
Almost as if Ursula did this because Grace wouldn't pay.
Like reversed the healing, sort of.
After that, Grace also got into another spat with Ursula because although she had used Ursula in the past as a midwife for one of her children, Grace's new baby was going to be taken care of by another midwife. It was probably because they were already in this initial spat, and she was like, this would be really awkward while I'm giving birth and someone is taking care of me.
Yeah, like I'm pissed at her. Yeah. I'm going to find a new midwife for this child. Yeah.
But I think Ursula probably saw this as like, I don't know why you couldn't just pay your fucking bill, and now I'm losing additional work because you now don't want me in the room with you to take care of your baby.
It can't be good for your reputation if it's like, oh, you're losing customers.
Especially when there's like 10 people in this village. It's like, how many babies are coming?
Yeah. How many midwives? That's stiff competition. 2 midwives?
I know. That would be extra insulting if like she had to call out into another town for a midwife to come in. Oh, that's embarrassing.
Telehealth midwife, and you're like, seriously? I'm right down the street.
And you know that looks bad when another midwife is coming into town because you can't do your job, allegedly. So
oofa doofa. Yeah, that's gotta hurt.
So Ursula and Grace are having this huge public falling out because, again, there's like 10 people. So if everyone's sitting in the same park in this town, probably everyone knows what's going on. And later on, after this baby has either been born or is being taken care of by this separate wet nurse, the baby dies.
Oh, fuck. Oh, no.
And it was something along the lines of like fell out of her crib. Like the
like a
classic
accident?
Rockabye baby situation where like
Jesus.
She ends up falling out while sleeping, and then injuries later led to her death. So between Grace's initial fight with Ursula and then her symptoms coming back, and then her daughter dying after the second public spat, rumors quickly spread of Ursula being responsible for both situations, allegedly putting a curse on the family for disrespecting her so many times. And soon the whole town was hearing that Ursula had the ability to not only make somebody sick, but harm/kill them. And and also on top of that, they were like, because Grace's symptoms came back, they're like, oh, and on top of like could physically hurt you, she could also make your symptoms come back so she has more work and makes more money off of you. So now she's...
jeez. That's fucked up. Okay, I hadn't even thought of it like that.
So after this, Ursula was a public enemy, I suppose. And although Grace had been the only person at this point who had claimed any of this about Ursula, then more rumors started kicking up and more people started saying, well, I have a story about Ursula harming me. A different neighbor named Alice claimed that Ursula killed her daughter because Alice one time didn't let Ursula borrow something. And then Ursula was later seen outside of that house muttering to herself. Probably being like, why the fuck won't you just give me this fucking thing?
I just need the broom for a minute. Jesus.
Funny you say that. I wasn't even going to get into specifics. It was literally cleaning supplies.
I knew it.
So it's like, yeah, just like, give me the fucking broom.
Like, okay.
But I like how you say broom because double entendre with like her being a witch. I see.
Ding ding.
Very nice.
Didn't do it on purpose.
Well, people see her muttering to herself, and soon after this, Alice's daughter has this weird swollen stomach. Nobody has a reason for it, and she ends up passing away from some sort of infection.
Oh, gosh.
So everyone associates Ursula's muttering to herself with maybe hexing the child for being disrespected.
Right.
Then another neighbor said that she was walking past Ursula's house with her baby.
Okay.
And the baby would just scream every time they walked past Ursula's house, which was obviously an omen. It's like, maybe your baby just, I don't know, hates the look of the house. Maybe like it's
maybe you are just squeezing the baby tighter every time you walk past because you're nervous, and the baby's like, why are you scared? Now I'm scared.
And also maybe because babies can just sense shit. Maybe they could sense your stress, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that I went with like this is like a gay little interior designer baby who's
I
like
know.
judging the shit out of the house.
I mean, as much as I love that theory and hope that's correct, I just wanted for the sake of covering all our bases, I thought I'd throw the more mundane, boring
Thank
reason
you.
out. Yeah.
See, that's why we balance each other out. I will handle the less likely situations, but
Right.
the more fun
You know me.
scenarios. Yeah.
Right down to earth, very grounded, very
Very
fact
good.
based.
You're a no business, no nonsense kind of girl. I know.
That's exactly what they say.
So on top of all of this, she's now been accused by 3 neighbors. Some sources say 2. I think they mix 2 of them up because there's an Annie and an Alice, and I think they get kind of squished together.
Okay.
And maybe that's the case. I don't know. But at least 2, maybe 3 neighbors have said something about Ursula. And then on top of that, Ursula's own fucking brother, which what is the sibling rivalry there?
What the fuck, dude?
Horrible. Like, when you go to like a Thanksgiving dinner and you have to deal with your parents?
Yeah.
Like, and you just know they're going to say something? like what is going on at the Christmas dinner table that they hate each other so fucking much? He's like, I'm going to accuse you of witchcraft, bitch.
I mean, listen, siblings I know plenty of people who would immediately throw their sibling under the bus like this.
I do know that Zandy would call you a witch to the elders, for sure.
I mean, honestly, probably not, because he knows I would take him down with me. So I feel like that's a dangerous balance we strike. But like, especially older generations where maybe there wasn't as much like, they didn't foster as much love among siblings necessarily, or maybe there wasn't enough therapy out there. I don't know. But I've definitely known siblings who would behave this way.
Which,
just for spite, out of spite.
Which is so fucking bold. This is like half
for money.
This is half the thing I don't understand about any witch trial is like, if you really thought someone could hex and kill you, why on earth are you playing with that fire? Like, I've never understood it. I've never gotten it.
It doesn't make sense, but I think it's that like mentality, that mob mentality of like fear of like, oh shit, we can't let this person get out of control. We've got to like get them
say, I'll get you before you get me.
In prison and killed before they like cause more damage, or before they turn and look my way and kill my baby. I feel like it becomes this almost like they're so dangerous that like the town has to unite and put them out of the equation. I don't know. That's my only guess, because you're right. Like, I would not want to be pointing fingers at somebody if I really thought like, oh, they might kill my baby. I would be kissing ass.
This should have been
if
like,
I already believed like they killed my baby, I'd probably be in a fucking righteous fury. Like, you know what I mean?
But I do. But there is at least one man out there who, and even, I mean, not only one man, but there's a lot of women who under duress said names that like they knew were innocent. Like there was a lot of, well, I guess that part doesn't count. I'm thinking more like the people who are truly accusing.
Who believe it.
I feel like at least some of them were like this brother who's like, I'm just going to say you're a witch because I'm pissed at you. Like,
for sure. I mean, I imagine that it's like an easy thing to be like, I don't know if she's a witch or not, but I like fucking hate her. So yeah, I'm fine with it. Who knows? And
maybe they actually just misheard him calling her a bitch.
Her bitch.
So anyway,
she really is a bitch. It's like, wait.
It's like, I mean, she's been plenty nice to me, but her name is Ursula, so I'm just assuming where things are going to go.
Like, yeah,
that's probably something he said.
Yeah.
Anyway, on top of all this, Ursula's own brother accuses her of, quote, bewitching his wife who gasped and died. And it sounds like a limerick.
Oh, shit. So he's now saying that, like, not just, they have sibling rivalry, like, she killed my wife?
So now she's like he's the 4th person, I think, saying that she killed somebody?
He might actually believe that then, if maybe to go against your own sibling and say, like, I can't believe you would do this to my wife. I don't know.
I almost hope so, because like otherwise like at least there's a reason why you're this evil. I know,
it's like almost, I can't tell if it's all bad. It's all bad.
For this case, the case of Ursula, the justice of the peace was this guy named Brian Darcy. Of course, a Brian. He is a powerful landowner, very wealthy in this area, and he is a man. And apparently one source told me that he had his own like villain origin story where his dad was, quote, bewitched to death by another town witch. And this caused his hatred for, quote, sorcerers, wizards, witches, and wise women. Not the wise women.
Not a wise woman.
Please, God, keep them dumb.
First of all, I've never heard of such a thing. Second of all, not to be afraid of. Don't worry.
So, fun fact, which is, I don't know, you tell me if this is incredibly convenient or not, but So this guy, Brian, not only is he the justice of the peace, but he's a vengeful justice of the peace who fucking hates witches because they like killed his own dad,
Mm-hmm.
allegedly. He is friends and works very closely with Grace, the original accuser.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
So all Grace had to do was call up Brian and just
Mhm.
go, I don't like this fucking girl. You ever heard
I
of
think
her? I
she's a
don't like her.
witch.
I think she's a witch. And then
And he
Brian went,
says,
well, that can't fucking fly.
say no more.
Certainly. So after all their beef, she called up B. Rye and complained about Ursula. Maybe mentioned that she was a witch. I don't know. Maybe said it under her breath. And so now she's been arrested by Brian. She is sent to the cage. She is being arraigned. And during her arraignment, that's when you make the plea, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So during this time, is this when people testify also?
So the arraignment, I feel like, is when you're setting up. I don't want to give false information.
Well, I feel like my thought is that it's when you're just going in for the plea, and then the actual trial is when people are testifying, right?
Right. It's sort of like where it's like where you read your charges, basically. Like you're
Right.
brought
Okay,
in
that's what I thought.
officially to be told, like, this is what the trial will be. These are your charges. Do you plead? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Cool. So we're on the same page. So
Yeah.
she was being kept at the cage until arraignment. During arraignment,
Mhm.
Brian did the thing I mentioned earlier where he was like, look, it's gonna go a lot easier for you if you
Yuck.
just plead guilty.
Just say yes now. Yeah.
And
Ugh.
I think originally she did plead innocent because then she ends up awaiting trial. And while she's awaiting trial, she ends up having another conversation with Brian about like, hey, you really just need to be, you know. During her trial, I guess they had a bunch of people come in and testify. One day it was her own son, her own 8-year-old son. They used her kid against her.
8 years old.
And I don't know if he had a father or siblings or family. I don't know if he like was scared because he's now by himself, and I don't know. But they certainly pressured this 8-year-old kid enough, and they probably said like, say all these things and you can see your mommy again. Like something
Exactly.
horrible.
That'll keep her safe, you know? Ugh.
So he ended up telling the court that Ursula was in fact a witch, number one. Number two, she controlled multiple familiars.
My
Two
God.
are cats, one was a toad, and one was a lamb.
This poor baby.
These 4 familiars were Ursula's little henchmen to do evil work, and she kept them alive by feeding them beer and cake, and she would let the animals suckle blood from her body.
Okay. This poor kid. I mean, for God's sake. And to be the mom and see your baby come in and know that, like, they fucking coerced him to do this. This is like,
and you have
so
to look at
twisted.
him knowing he doesn't even know what he's doing is
And you're
going
like,
to kill you.
you just want him to feel okay and safe, even though, like, he's basically spelling your death sentence. Like, oh, this is so dark, dude.
So while I guess waiting for other people to testify, she's hanging out in the cage. Brian goes to her and says, look, I'm telling you, this can all stop if you just plead guilty, and we'll be really sympathetic. We'll be super lenient. Just tell us the truth. And so she ends up obliging. She confesses to having familiars, sending them out to kill her sister-in-law, kill Grace's daughter, make people sick. And then on top of that, she names other women in the village who were witches to try to save herself, which was very common.
Yeah.
At the end of this, Ursula and 13 other people were tried for witchcraft in total during this case.
Holy shit.
Only 2 of them, Ursula and then this woman, Elizabeth, were sentenced to hang.
Oh.
And before her death, she was again held at the cage. So when she was hanged, same with Elizabeth, when they were hanged, we don't know where exactly they were buried because they weren't given a proper grave, and it would have been on unconsecrated ground. But we know that they were buried in an area nearby. We just know it was in the village. They are buried probably near the cemetery, but just off, you know,
in a discarded way.
So now let's time travel to 1921.
Must we?
Yes.
Okay.
In 1921, there's this guy named Charles. Charles lived in the area, and he was digging around in his garden, and he finds 2 skeletons on his property.
Oh, Charles, he little Chucky boy. He just wanted to
Big
put in
Chaz,
some.
that's what I call him.
Big Chaz just wanted to put in some little petunias.
Petunias, yes, of course. And what do you know? You find
What do you
2
know? You can't even
fully
put a petunia
intact
in.
skeletons.
Yeah, that sounds just like his luck, huh?
Let me actually. I didn't prepare, so please hold.
This is so annoying. Can I pee real fast?
Yeah.
Please stand by. We have to step away.
And scene, Jack. So the skeletons, not only were they lying near each other, they were both found with iron nails hammered into their joints.
Oh, their joints?
Which apparently was a way back in the day to keep witches from reanimating and coming back from the grave.
Hey, guess what? It fucking worked, right? So like,
sure did.
With fucking
They
logic
stayed in
like
place.
that, flawless.
They stayed put.
Stupid.
So Charles believed that these were the skeletons of Ursula and Elizabeth, because since they had these nails in them and everything, and that was what you did for witches, these are 2 mysterious bodies. He lives in a very small village where this is like a significant story in the town.
Imagine just like stumbling upon like a famed legend
local
from your
celebrities,
town.
yeah.
Right? Like I'd be like, the fact that Charles was like, oh, I know who that is. Like,
So
they're in my backyard. That's where they've been this whole time.
So because he knew that they were local celebrities, people had always wondered where they were buried, knew the story of Ursula, he decided to put fencing around it, keep them unburied, and then charge people to view the bodies. Here are 2 pictures for you. I'll send them to Holy
trio. Shit, I thought Chuck was much more gentlemanly than he ended up being.
No,
it ends up being kind of a schmuck, huh?
He had his own ways.
Whoa. Oh,
so there's
no.
One of the bodies, and then there's people viewing it. Apparently they were only charged 6 pence. I don't I tried to do the math. Apparently it's like $2 fucking dollars. Like it wasn't even really a lot of money.
This is really upsetting. And like, just so people know, I mean, we'll put them up on social media, but it literally is a picture of a human skeleton laying in on the ground, and then it says skeleton of witch found at St. Osyth. Is it Osyth you said?
Mm-hmm.
St. Osyth. And it's like, okay, so he's just like making a tourist trap out of and calling them witches. I mean, yuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it cost us 6 pence. 8. I hope I'm saying that right. English people, I've never had to use 6 pence in my entire life as a word. But I looked up the conversion rate. 1 6 pence is worth 2.5 cents USD. So in my mind, 6 pence is triple, which makes like 8 cents.
Wait, wouldn't it be the opposite? Oh wait, yeah. Hold on. No, you're right.
It ends up being like 8 cents, like pennies.
Yeah, you're
literal
right,
pennies.
You're right. Yeah.
But then, and then that was 1921 money, so I just brought it up, and it's like $2 now. But
so it's $2 today. Yeah, that's nothing. So you're saying like literally the value of $2 is what they were paying. Okay.
Nothing is $2 anymore. Like a bag of candy, maybe.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, that like, or I don't know if you said this or not, but I feel like this is something that would come up in your brain anyway. I'm just assuming because you're so smart. Keep in mind that this was a fucking guess. Like, we don't even know that these were Ursula and Elizabeth. They were they could just be random people, and like their skeletons were now exhumed and they're just put on display for literally the price of like Raisinets.
Yeah, good point. Not at the movie theater though. Like maybe 5 raisins.
No, my house costs the same as Raisinets from the movie theater.
Yeah, that's right. That's a better analogy. No, I'm like shocked because now I'm thinking, well, I didn't know Charles was such a fucking schmuck. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering now, like,
Chuck the schmuck.
Chuck the schmuck. I knew he was a Chuck all along.
Mm-hmm.
Chucky the schmucky. I didn't know. I wonder now if there's any chance he just like planted these. Because I'm looking at that one picture. I don't know. It looks pretty.
It is perfectly preserved, isn't it?
Pretty damn like prop-like. But I mean, I guess
in the 20s they might have had a toy skeleton out yet.
Well,
I don't know.
not a toy, but I mean, you could even get one from. You could acquire a skeleton back then. I don't know.
He did dig them out of his garden.
They were in his garden. Okay.
The bodies have, well, like I said earlier, these could just be anyone. The bodies could have also just been other women killed for witchcraft, which I guess is a
Mm-hmm.
cool story, but it's not the Ursula story. So even if he somehow knew that these are female skeletons and they were buried there instead of on consecrated ground because they were witches, we don't know that it was. I mean, Ursula and Elizabeth were the only ones who died of witchcraft during that trial, but there was like I think 13 women who died throughout.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it really could be somebody else.
Yeah, it was 13 or
Wow.
like 10 women. It was like in the double digits of women who died in this time period for witchcraft, either in this
Mm,
village or the village nearby. So there's a
damn.
chance it was just a random other woman or a fucking man. It could be anyone. But maybe he knew because he knew the Ursula story. He was like, well, this aligns with it and it will give me the
Yeah, like
most money,
two
all
skeletons.
sixpence.
Yeah, all sixpence.
So now I think if this source is right, it said this was around until 1932, which is like 11 years later.
Oh my lord. So he's just had this like fucking jacked up carnival in his backyard this whole
Kinda.
for over a decade?
That's what it sounds
This
like.
rigged up carnival?
I feel like other stories suggested it was a shorter time, but the source I'm rocking with is 1932. And
Wow.
Charles is still showing off these bodies, and then one day his house mysteriously burns to the ground. And everyone assumes, oh, they may be dead, but they can still curse people who wrong them.
This is the first time I'm going to say they sure can. I
Yeah.
don't think that is
You go,
necessarily what
girls.
happened, but if it is,
I mean, you're already
You go,
dead. It's not
girls.
like if I accuse you of a witch now, like what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying?
it's like might as well learn some witchcraft on the other side, you know?
So everyone was worried that this curse was actually very real, and they're like, you know what? Let's actually rebury the bones on the property.
Let's
It
stop
took us.
paying and eating popcorn over top of them.
It took us over a decade, but maybe we should stop throwing
can't.
trash at them and
Yeah,
dropping
right.
things on them by accident.
Gross.
You know, there's like a drunk asshole who like peed on one of them or something.
Yeah,
like
yes,
something
'cause
happened.
people are fucking jackasses.
I mean, they're literally like selling their like sisters to the prison system,
Right.
calling them witches. Someone peed on her. Someone dropped snacks on her.
at least
Someone
was disrespectful.
threw their ticket on her. Yeah.
and that's not even counting what people probably said, you know.
Mhm.
It's just
Oh, yeah.
it just seems bad. I all around. And not to say I'm like holier than thou. I probably would have paid 6 pence back in the day. 'Cause what the
100%.
hell else am I going to be doing with my time? So I'm not saying like
Truly,
they
what
were
was going on in the
completely-
20s? Nothing.
It's crazy back
in a
then.
small
like,
little
with-
village?
Yeah, with like the Villisca axe murder too. Like, yeah, I understand that was like normal back then, quote unquote.
I
But
mean, even today, I literally go to the Lizzie Borden house because I'm intrigued by the creeps of
By-
it all. We go to haunted
exactly, and-
houses. So
and museums and see. Yeah, so I mean, I do understand it from that perspective, but this guy charging people and then like not even having the real info, it just starts to
And
get
it's
so
random
slimy
bodies,
so
ugh.
fast. Yeah.
Also, this fire that mysteriously burned his house to the ground, if this was going on for 11 years, it seems like they were fine with it for over a decade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why are people associating this with witchcraft? Also, Charles's grandson is the real homie because he pretty much says out loud with his full chest in a news article that his grandpa just drunkenly knocked over an oil lamp and set the house on fire.
Oh my fucking god.
30 years later, the skeletons have been buried for 30 years again. But they were redug up during a construction project on the
Can I ask,
property.
were they? But they were reburied in the same spot.
Same spot.
Okay. Okay.
They were dug up though during a new construction project where they had to break ground again. And the skeleton, I don't know about both of them, but at least the one that everyone thought was Ursula, which how would you know the difference? We're just picking skeletons at this point.
Those are just two women, right? Like one wasn't a child or something, right?
No, they were just the same size, and we're assuming that they're witches, and they're these specific witches, and now only
Okay.
one of them is
Is
maybe
the
Ursula.
one, right? Okay.
So the one deemed Ursula, I guess is how I'll
Uh-huh.
say it, was then taken out of the ground, and to not be harmed any longer or damaged or fucked with, the skeleton was then sold to a witchcraft museum in England, but then it was resold to a quote artist. It's giving
Uh-oh.
entrepreneur vibes.
It's
Because
giving, what
really-
the fuck are you doing?
Really what he was, amongst everything else, he was a human remains collector.
Oh dear.
And when So anyway, he liked to collect dead bodies. Apparently,
Okay.
Ursula was not the first. Um,
I'm gonna say a hesitant. All right, I guess.
it's all right, rock on, girl. I guess as long as you don't hurt them. So he had the body until he ended up dying. So for years and years and years, he had Ursula quote on
That was the
his.
ultimate addition to his collection.
I guess so.
His own body when he
Oh,
died.
now that's good. See, now that's
he
good.
finally completed the collection.
Yeah, I suppose. Full circle indeed. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, so when he died, the skeleton was finally returned to St. Osyth to be reburied in a,
Okay, I think
different
that's
location.
probably for the best, everybody. Because
Fun
we don't
fact,
have this
though.
person's consent, all that nonsense.
Fun fact, on the
Uh.
body's way back to St. Osyth, an archaeologist was like, let me just check on these bones real quick before we bury them again. And
Okay.
determined they did not belong to Ursula because it was a male skeleton the entire time.
No! Are you serious?
And for all we know, thing that you mentioned, it was rumored that like maybe it was just his own fucking family or something, and he
Oh
just
my God, people used to bury their family in the backyard. Like, that is a normal thing. This is probably not, if not his, like somebody else's, maybe family members or something.
we have
Like,
bodies buried on my dad's property. Like
Yes.
it's just like some people,
A thumbs up comes through. Yep.
but there's sometimes people just have like family plots on property,
No,
and
it's actually it's pretty
But like,
common.
how did not a single person who visited this thing or hear about this ever
That's
think,
why-
oh, couldn't this just be like the family plot from the people before you?
Maybe they did. Maybe it was like
Maybe.
contentious, but like no one could prove it because it was on his property. I don't know. I also wonder, like, when you said, "Oh, for all we know, it's a male skeleton," I was like, "Oh, well, that's silly. Like, somebody would have noticed if it was a male skeleton by now."
I
And
know.
I'm like, wait a minute, it was the whole time. Not
I know
that it's
in-
like that obvious, but I'm sure. I know there are some pretty significant differences usually. Like
In today's world, I feel like most people at least know to check the hip size to see like
Yeah.
if it could hold a fetus in there. If there's like womb
Yeah.
room,
room for the womb. Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't think about that in the 20s. I don't know.
I guess. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I
Well-
probably wouldn't know the difference, but I assume somebody did.
So people then I think he tried to double down, and him or his supporters were like, well, they were bones of a different witch, just a male witch. And it's like, okay, shut up. Like,
Wait, now you're pushing it. Really pushing it.
everyone's like, end it. The joke is over.
yeah.
The jig is
The
up.
jig. Wait, which one is it really? Because I never know. So if
Now
I were to say it right now, I would say, all right, everyone, the jig is up. Is that right?
I don't know anymore. You fucked me up.
See?
In my-
gets
in my
your
mind,
head.
I have always said, okay, the gig is up. The jig is up.
The
jig
jig
is
is up.
I think so. But the gig also makes sense.
Thank you. See, now I'm winning.
I'll
You
never
laughed
let
at
you
me.
have. I'll never
You
let you have
laughed.
Jeff. I'll tell you that.
All right, fine. I'll take this one for now.
Is that the little Giovanni?
It is. He's really a pain in my ass, but
the
I love my
monkeys.
baby.
Oh, the babies. Oh, I get to see him next week. Oh, see
Are
that?
you-
I
oh, hey, wait. I
I'm
didn't
very
even need
excited.
to direct you on that one.
because I actually get to kiss him. Wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where are we? Oh yeah, so he's saying it's still a witch, whatever. Researchers also said not only is the skeleton male, well, first of all, why is no one on the case for this other missing fucking skeleton? I don't know, because there were originally two, remember? Where's the other
wait
one?
a minute.
But the researcher said not only was the skeleton male, but the iron spikes in the joints were, quote, recent additions
Yep.
designed
yep.
to enhance the witch story.
Yep.
So
Knew it. Knew this
people
fucker was
now we're like,
schmucky as hell.
Chaz, big Chad, we can tell that you faked this. And again,
you are a piece of work.
the grandson, the homie, he also confirmed this and was like, yeah, he does crazy things. Oh, well, okay.
Like, set the house on fire.
Set the house on fire and put like iron nails into dead bodies' arms.
Into
That's
his,
grandpa.
Like, grandpa, his uncle's skeleton or wherever the
To
hell
go
he
to your
got
point
that.
earlier, what do you do in a village in the 1920s with no?
Seriously,
Just got to kill some time.
if you're eccentric, like Chuck obviously was, maybe you got to bend your morality a little bit.
Well, that is a very long tangent that I guess is shared in this that I had to share in this story. The topic of the cage itself is just a jail that housed Ursula Kemp and several other people over centuries of time. But she is the most famous witch to come out of this town. She was also in this prison, this holding area that is also incredibly haunted. All that to say that the cage was a jail that held on top of many other people, 1500s witches. It remained a
Jeez.
jail until 1908.
Oh my God.
And then in the 1970s, it was renovated into a house. And it even kept the alley in the back where prisoners, like where dead bodies would get like
Was that
taken
like
out to the
a
ambulance.
selling point? Like they even kept the original alley to the This is so wild.
It's literally called Coffin Alley because that's where all of the
Oh, so maybe
jailers
it literally
the bodies
is a
out.
selling point. Yeah. I mean, it must be to someone.
It even has a plaque. Let me see. Let me actually
This is
send this
wild.
to you also. What's it called? The Cage plaque. So that is the plaque on the house today. And the plaque says, "The Cage Medieval Prison. St. Osyth resident Ursula Kemp was imprisoned here before being hanged as a witch in 1582, and it was last used in 1908. So that plaque is still on the building to this day. It is still
Wow.
called The Cage.
And someone, it's just a house.
It's just a house. Immediately, the house was rumored in town to be haunted. And
You don't say.
several people moved in, several people moved out. They claimed that books and other items would fly off the shelves. People broke their leases incredibly early. Some people only made it a few weeks or months there.
Oh my gosh.
And one tenant even ended up dying by suicide in the early 2000s. And the story goes that he was hearing something in the house and it drove him to suicide, which that's neither here nor there, but it is a fact of the case. And that obviously, either way, maybe that was a rumor that was spread. Maybe it was actually part of maybe a mental health situation he was dealing with. Maybe it was the paranormal. I don't fucking know.
But either way, it adds to how
it's associated with the energy within.
it adds to how dark this place is.
9 months after this man died in the house, it is now the year 2005.
Okay.
And the house sat empty for those 9 months after he passed. And now 30-year-old Vanessa moves back home to her hometown of St. Osyth and is looking for a house.
Oh, girl.
And Vanessa stumbled upon the cage. She was fascinated by it. She remembered walking by it as a kid, not ever really thinking about how haunted it was, but she just remembered always being drawn to the house. And now that she's moving back, she saw that it was available, bought it for just under $200,000, fun fact. And when she bought it, the realtor told her, "The house has chosen you."
Yeah.
And
he was waiting to say that, or they were waiting to say that.
And Vanessa believes in ghosts now. Let's just put it that way. You will find out about it next week.
No! Are you serious? Oh my God. Okay, wow. That was a doozy, Shit.
So that is The Cage, part
I just
1.
got goose cam from a cliffhanger. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Wow.
You'll find out next week. Originally, the reason I'm tired is because I was trying to get all of the notes done. And then while I was looking at the notes, I was like, this is easily 2 episodes. So I'm just gonna.
Hey, I'm just gonna give you a little spoiler. Same thing happened to me, which is why, again, I had to push an hour. I had to push a day and then an extra hour of recording, because the story I'm covering is one of those where, like, as you go, it's like, wait, oh, I have to include this. Oh, wait, I have to include this, and it like ends up being such a long story, and you're like, I felt like a very standard kind of narrative, but
teed me
what's that?
was that I was really I thought I was going to do this entire story today. And had I decided early on that like, oh, I'm actually just going to do the Ursula Kemp part of this story, I wouldn't have even had to work yesterday. Like the notes, those notes were already done. And oh my God.
I'm going to un-TUO because, or I'm going to tee you on. No, I don't know.
Sure.
But either way, hey, here's the good news. For the next episode, you're fucking set.
I know. Easy breezy.
That's going to be the best feeling when you're like, oh, I have to do hold on.
That's what happened the last time. I was like, these two-parters, I don't hate them
There's
all of a sudden.
something nice about it. Speaking of which, this is the story of Billie-Jo Jenkins. Now, this is a case that I had Saoirse's help with, and Saoirse even said, like, hey, this is becoming a longer story than expected. And then once I got my hands on the notes, I found more stuff that was even like we were trying to squeeze it into a one-parter, and then I found a whole nother avenue that hadn't even been touched yet, and I was like,
Mhm.
uh-oh. So it spoilers, this is also a part 1, part 2.
Man, look at us go.
We've never done that, have we? I've probably said that like 3 times. We've never
Yeah.
done this before.
At this point, I don't know because I have heard. I don't know. Maybe someone else weigh in. Nothing hurts my feelings more than finding out that I have just been losing money.
It is
I've been losing it this way. I've been losing it that way.
offensive.
Thankfully, Rocket Money has been like, girl, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings and not just throw it in the trash like I was doing.
We all have been there. It's okay. They're your wingman in this, you know, like they know you fucked up, but it's okay because they've been there. We've all been there, and they're going to help you through it.
And they'll even try to negotiate lower bills for you. So not just get rid of them, but they'll try to just lower the bills of the ones you need to pay. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save, and then you can ask them to negotiate for you, and they'll deal with customer service, which, hello, that alone makes me want to use them forever.
It's great. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/drink today.
That's rocketmoney.com/drink. rocketmoney.com/drink.
Last night, Leona and I made the smoked Gouda Goodles, and I need to let you know that Leona has become obsessed. She pulls the boxes out, and they're so colorful, and every day we pick a new one. She's gotten so obsessed with Goodles that I'm like, do I just reach out and say, like, do you take 3-year-old affiliates? It's the ultimate comfort food, but nutrient packed, has protein, prebiotic fiber, vitamins and minerals from plant sources.
You just said that Leona is very drawn to the colors of the boxes, and as someone with a 3-year-old brain, I also am very drawn to the colorful boxes. I don't know what it is. I think it's the best
so
marketing they could ever
satisfying.
do. I was obsessed before I even ate them. But Goodle's mac and cheese comes in a variety of options. They also have vegan and gluten-free, and they're a low glycemic index food. So there's steady energy instead of the carb crash, which is what I always suffer from.
It's also kosher and clean label purity award certified, so please go get your hands on them. You won't regret it. You've got to try Goodle's mac and cheese, and don't forget their nutrient-packed pasta too. Pick some up when you're out shopping.
Goodle's is available nationwide at major grocery stores and retailers, and we know you're going to love Goodle's as much as we do.
All right, so this is the story of Billie-Jo Jenkins. Billie-Jo Margaret Jenkins was born on March 29th, 1983 in East London to Deborah and Bill Jenkins. And when she was young, her father was sent to prison. Her mother struggled to care for her alone. And so for a while, she was living with her younger sister, Margaret, and their aunt. But she was later placed in foster care while her sister stayed with her aunt. So in June 1992, at age 9, she was placed with Lois and Sean Jenkins in Hastings. And the last name, I don't know if you caught that, but she was placed with another family with the last name Jenkins. And it's a coincidence. So
What about
she's not
the Hastings? Sorry.
No, Hastings is the town where they live.
Oh, in Hastings. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, in Hastings. She's placed with Lois and Sean Jenkins. The town is called Hastings. Apparently, I was listening to the Red Handed episode on this story, and they were like, "Why does everyone from East London move to Hastings?" And I was like, "I don't know. Great question." I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about, but I was like, "This is so interesting."
Well, I have no concept of barely U.S. geography, but
I know.
Hastings is the name of a town I have heard multiple times, so I'm just
Me
gonna
too.
roll with they're onto something.
Me too. I think that what they were saying is it's like a town that's close to the city, but like it's almost like how people move to the suburbs, I think was the vibe I was getting, you know, like people move out to Hastings and like settle in with their kids, that kind of thing. That's what it seemed like. And then there's the Battle of Hastings, which they also mentioned.
That's why I know it.
That's the other reason. Yeah. So The Jenkins in Hastings are different from the Jenkins in London.
Okay.
So she is just placed for foster there. I imagine it makes it easier to foster someone with your same last name, but I don't know if that's true. But either way, it's just a coincidence. The mother of the family, Lois Jenkins, she had grown up in a large fostering family, and so she was really excited to take Billy in, but she already had 4 other daughters. So this would be their 5th daughter in the house. And Hastings was a huge change from London. Just to give you an idea, the population is 90,000 approximately compared to over 7 million in London.
Dang. Okay.
So it was an adjustment for Billy to kind of get into the small town routine. But she was a very confident kid, so she kind of adapted quickly. She was the life of the party. She was, fun, full of life. She wanted to be a star someday. She wanted to be an actor. Her friends all would have voted her, like most likely to become a movie star, go to Hollywood, that kind of thing. She was just like such a bubbly and entertaining person. Her little sister Margaret, who I mentioned earlier, stayed with her aunt and like
Hmm.
remained living with her aunt when Billy was put up for fostering. Margaret considered Billy as the best big sister. She admired everything about her. She remembers that Billy dreamed of working for an airline so she could travel the world someday,
Oh.
and that I know, and that she knew she was going to be, going places and having these big dreams. Even though they didn't live together, they spoke on the phone often, and sometimes Margaret would come to Hastings to visit Billy. But she did note that Sean, the dad, always kind of put her on edge as though she felt that he was making her to feel like her family background was less than because they
Mm.
had like financial and class superiority.
Okay.
And she said even as a child, like visiting her big sister, she felt like her foster family judged her background and thought they
Oh,
were like
that's awkward.
poor or from weren't the same level of class.
Hmm.
So, despite this, Billy's Aunt Maggie really believed that putting her into foster care was the right decision, especially with this family. She said the family seemed happy and well off. They were excited to care for her. This is all very foreshadowing, of course. Fun fact, side note, side
Hmm.
tangent, real quick, because this is something I had to ask Saoirse about. So, Saoirse has a background in very specific. I mean, we had talked about this recently on an episode. Um, and they study Irish is one of the things that they are very familiar with. So I was like, well, you would know because Sean is spelled S-I with the, or sorry, S-I-O with a
E.
circumflex. No,
Oh, oh.
that's Siobhan. But
Oh, Siobhan. That's what it is. Okay. Sorry.
this one is spelled S-I-O-N, but the O has a circumflex, which I guess in Welsh is referred to as, now I'm going to probably butcher this, Tobach, and it means little roof because he
Fun.
has a little roof. I know, it's like that's precious.
I like how what I appreciate is that in your true crime stories, you will desperately search for a fun fact before things get
I
really crazy.
Okay, it's really
That
all I
worked.
literally
That
I
worked.
wrote. Yeah, Saoirse sends me 11 pages, and then I'm like, hey, I'd actually like to add something else. I have a question about the language
Hmm.
of this whole story. And so it was really, really helpful. I just meant like, is it pronounced like Sean question mark? And Saoirse was like, well, I have a background in Irish. And I was like, see, this is why I needed this. This is a fun fact, people.
Okay.
Uh
At the end of the day, we're all gonna be sad, but just know, little roof.
right now,
That's all that matters.
little
Little
roof.
roof.
If you take nothing else with you today, just remember in
Little
the
roof.
Welsh, they call it little roof. Okay, so side note, Sean, the original Irish name, which means John, Sean, with the it
Hmm.
has a accent. I guess it's called uh the fada.
Hmm.
So originally it's SEA with the fada and then N. But then a lot of people who like move outside of Ireland or, don't use it with the traditional, they take off the accent, right? Because
Hmm.
it's easier for paperwork and it's probably easier in a lot of ways. So that's how Sean, Sean, kind of became normalized like in the US. without the accent.
That is a fun fact because
But
nothing
hang
has
on.
ever. Oh, what?
No, it is. But I want to finish the fun fact, which is that SEAN without the accent actually means old. It's like a completely different word. So if you take
Hmm.
off the accent, technically it's the word old, which is very fun. So
I
just
think
fun
you
facts.
skipped over the other fun fact, which I was unaware of. Maybe everyone else in the world was, but I didn't even know Sean was a derivative of John. Had no idea.
Oh yes, no, I said that. It means John. It's like the version of John.
I know, but I'm saying you just taught me that. I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said I skipped over it. Yes, it's John in
Makes
yep.
total sense. Had no idea. It's
Mhm.
kind of like Will and Bill, like it's like the rhyming situation. But Sean and John, I had no idea that was where they came from.
Interesting, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Anyway, so if your name is
Uh,
Sean, it's actually old.
it's or John. So good luck. It's
Or
it's
John.
actually no matter what, it's not Sean. So
You'll never know. Yeah, so Sean SIO with the circumflex N is how it's spelled, and I just wanted to make sure that's how I was supposed to pronounce it, etc. So let's get back into it. We're going to talk about Sean and Lois. This is the foster couple, the foster family, the two parents that took Billy in. They were financially stable. Lois worked in social services, and Sean had recently been appointed deputy headmaster at an all boys school, which
hey,
sounds
girl.
very highfalutin. Their house in Hastings was located a mile from the sea, across from like a beautiful park, a sprawling park. The family was very busy. They had work, school, they had lots of social activities and extracurriculars. I mean, with 5 daughters, they're
Hmm.
very busy. And so that's kind of how they are known around town. Now let's jump to February 15th, 1997.
Okay.
It's a Saturday, and it's a normal but hectic day for the Jenkins family. Lois is grocery shopping. Billy and her sister Annie had chores to do, and their sister Charlotte, who they called Lottie, had a clarinet lesson. So, as part of her chores, Billy was assigned to paint the patio doors. They're these like French doors
Hmm. Sounds
that
fun.
open on to the patio. So, she is assigned to paint the French doors. While painting, Billy got paint on the glass and some of the patio stone.
Whoops.
And her foster father needed to clean it up with white spirit, which I guess is a paint solvent that in the US we call mineral spirits. Do you know about this?
Nope.
Okay, me neither, because they were talking about white spirit on the
Like a
uh
drink.
red-handed. No, but they were like, "Oh, well, who doesn't have a bottle of white spirit for like paint?" And I'm like, "What? What
Is
is
that just
that?"
like their version of paint thinner or something?
Oh, it is paint thinner. Yeah. So I guess you would just call it paint thinner then. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Okay.
know anything about the brand. I mean,
I don't know
that's
about
even.
mineral spirits. Yeah. I wonder if that just
I would have just
it,
flipped the patio stones over so no one saw that I spilled.
it's
I wouldn't
sort
have
of
even done the
oh,
paint thinner thing.
big time. But it's a cleaning solvent. I don't know. I don't really get it. But he basically needed to go buy some to pick some up to get the paint off of the patio stones and the window. So Sean took Annie to first go get Lottie from her clarinet lesson.
Mhm.
So Billy was now at home alone painting. And while Billy stayed home painting, everybody else was out. So Lois took the two youngest daughters and the dog out for a walk. Sean, who was picking up Lottie from clarinet with Annie, came home briefly, then took both Annie and Lottie again to go get the white spirit at like the store.
Sure.
And Billy stayed home. This is just the timeline of the day.
Okay.
So just before 3 p.m., Sean and the girls return home from their visit to the store. Annie and Lottie walk out to the patio and start screaming. They had found Billy, their sister, lying on the ground, completely covered in blood.
Hmm.
Sean ushered the girls out of the room and called 999. Neighbor Denise Lancaster rushed over, tried to kind of feel Billy to see if there was any sign of life. She felt that she was cold to the touch. She was bleeding profusely. And disturbingly, as she kind of looked down at her, she noticed a piece of plastic almost coming out of her nostril.
Okay.
And she starts pulling it. It's a plastic trash bag that has been like shoved up her nose.
I okay, first of all, I can't even think about the actual sadness of I can't even process that. The physicality of how that's possible is a different story completely. I don't
I
even
don't
know
know
how
if
you
it was
do
an
that.
I mean, it could have been a small it's
Okay.
whatever it was a bin liner, like a trash bin liner.
Sure. Okay.
And yeah, it was just shoved up her nose. Yeah.
Oh,
Really,
okay.
yeah,
That's
really horrific.
so some okay. So
And like chilling in like a weird,
yeah, and my immediate
scary
takeaway is
way.
like so obviously something happened there that someone did not try to hide.
Hmm.
Um and she how do we know how long she was home alone for? Like was it like an hour? Was it like
So the general consensus, see, there's not a general consensus. So
Oh, okay.
Sean claims it was like 45 minutes to an hour,
Okay.
I believe. I believe, if I recall, like 45 minutes, maybe he said. Um, However, let's just say that's debatable
Okay.
or has been debated in the past.
Got it.
So Denise notices this. Oh, it's horrible, and has to pull it out. Like you said, it was like somehow really forcefully put in there. She had to really forcefully remove it, but there may have been the fear of just like choking on it. Who knows? I imagine in that moment you'd be like, I need to fix this. Like, your
Which
brain
like
probably would jump in to do that.
which
I
you are
think.
fucking with a crime scene, which like sucks, but
But
I
at
would
that
have
point,
done the
you don't
same
even
thing. I wouldn't have even
know,
been
right?
thinking
Like,
about it. Yeah.
there's a little girl there. Like, priority is, make sure she's okay. So
Mhm.
who knows? But so she pulls that out of her nose, and it's like hard for her to yank out, but she has to pull it up because it was,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Okay, I'm moving on now, everybody. I'm sorry. So on the 999 call, Sean sounded confused. He first said Billy had an accident, then claimed he wasn't sure what happened. Then they asked if Billy was breathing, and he responded, "I don't know. I haven't looked." A little bit
Hmm?
odd. When
Look.
paramedics, I haven't looked.
Give looking a shot.
Give
Yeah.
a quick look. Give a quick look,
Scan
maybe?
the room. Yeah.
Your small daughters are the only other ones, and your neighbor, maybe go to, yeah, it's just whatever. Okay. So when paramedics arrived, they initially passed the house, and so Sean went outside to redirect them. But then instead of going back into the house,
Yeah.
he goes into his car and sits in his car.
I don't like the smell of this at all. I'll tell you
I
that.
don't either. I don't either. And
Is
he
he
sits in his car for a while,
okay? Sure.
and you know, at the time, of course, this is an emergency situation. They're not necessarily paying enough attention to that. They're focused on Billy. So they go find Billy's body. Nearby, they realize she has not had an accident, but she has been bludgeoned to death with a heavy duty tent stake.
Oh my god.
And I'm talking not like a flimsy rod one,
Yeah, no,
but
the like a railroad spike.
yes,
Like
a huge metal
yeah.
long iron pipe, basically.
Oy, okay.
And they could tell the attack was frenzied, opportunistic, not like carefully planned,
Well, it's
obviously.
like you only got so many minutes before everyone comes home.
Well, I think they meant more like whatever happened, this person just reacted violently. Like it wasn't like,
Oh,
oh, I pre-planned. It was like whatever happened here happened like it was
okay.
ignited here. I don't think like a crime of passion sort of thing, not necessarily like a premeditated murder, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
They because I mean, there's just somebody had just grabbed a camping stake, I assume, and you know
Right, but I'm saying
attacked.
we're saying the same thing. I think I'm just coming at it from like like they realized they only had so much time to do what they needed to do, so they just kind of grabbed what they had and they knew like someone could come home at any moment, so I'm just going to do this and be
Yeah,
done with
I
it.
don't know. I think more just like I don't know the right word. Uh, like that the person didn't plan it. Like there was
Okay.
no, they didn't know they were going to do this today. Like they didn't know going into it that this would happen.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
That it just like a I don't what's it called? Is that called a crime of passion? Like heat of the moment, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's sort of the only thing they could really tell was that it was opportunistic in that, they grabbed what was nearby and just went for it. Um, and it was very frenzied, very, very brutal, very bloody. Now, of course, the neighborhood immediately panics and they're thinking like, "Oh my god, there's just this killer on the loose who's wandering around killing children, like brutally attacking children." And the backyard where Billy was painting these patio doors, their back patio is very open, so you can like really easily it's pretty open access to other housing and other families. So first of all, you'd think somebody would have heard something, but I guess not. But second of all, now people are thinking somebody just wandered by, spotted her, and like came after her,
Killed her. Yeah.
killed her on the spot. So that being said, a hotel employee reported a man in crisis with a noticeable facial mark who had been acting strangely near the Jenkins home
Hmm.
sometime in recent memory.
Okay.
So more witnesses came forward and said, "Wait, I also happened to see that man recently. And he was wandering around the park across the street and he was acting erratically and people were unsettled." It of course, was a mental health crisis. So, looking at it from that perspective, it wasn't deliberately menacing, but when police took him into custody, they realized a bizarre detail, which is that this man also had a plastic bag fetish.
Oh my God. Okay.
And he was known to have plastic kind of on him at all times. When they searched him, they found him chewing on plastic. They discovered pieces of plastic in his socks and underwear. And, you know, it just seemed like a strange coincidence,
Yeah.
given the
Certainly
plastic
I
bag stuffed into her
yeah.
nose.
I would certainly be noticing that. Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely worth noting. He was incoherent. He was unresponsive, so they weren't really able to properly question him. So instead, investigators gathered witness statements about his whereabouts so that they could make a timeline of where he was based on sightings of him. And it wasn't him because they put together a timeline and he had a very solid alibi. Witnesses clearly remembered him on a certain bench at the time of the murder, and it was far from the Jenkins home.
I guess it would be too easy. It
Yeah.
I guess. In the world of story writing, yes, it would be too easy.
Imagine that was part 1, the end. Like,
Yeah.
I already told you there's a part 2, so yeah, unfortunately, we all knew it wouldn't be that easy.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, what are the odds this
it's
would
a
be a
plastic
plastic
bag.
bag?
Isn't that weird? That's, like, chilling.
You would think that's a case closed situation of like, oh, we
Yes.
found him, easy.
I mean, I'm glad they did thorough enough investigating to make sure that he had an alibi,
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad because if he wasn't able to speak for himself, I don't know, you could see how they could just be like, he
Hmm.
clearly did it, I'm glad that they did the proper investigating. Um, anyway, he wasn't the guy. So fast forward 9 days after Billy's death, the date is February 24th, 1997. Police arrive at the Jenkins home and arrest Sean for the murder of his foster daughter.
Well, I kind of sense that he'd at least be a suspect.
At least. So Sean appeared surprised but remained calm. He asked if he could shower and shave before leaving, and the police were like, "No."
We've
Nope.
got a schedule that we're working on
Yeah,
here.
you're going to jail right now. Please come on.
Yeah.
These are handcuffs. You're not
Come
going to
on.
shave right
Put your
now.
shoes on.
We're not going to give you a sharp metal razor right now.
Great point that you're about to put next to your throat. Yep. Nope. Need that.
Right? Like, what are you thinking? So the police were like, "No, you're being arrested." He then asked if he would be gone for a while, and the officers were like, "Yes,
Babe, you're being arrested.
babe,
Like this
babe,
isn't
babe,
like
wake
a
up."
lunch date. Like you're
this
not
isn't
coming back right now.
a quick pop in, this is a an arrest situation. And so they said, yeah, it will be a little while. And they were like, maybe you should bring a book. And I loved that. And then one of them pointed at a book on the table and said, "Oh, is this yours?" And he said, "Yeah, it is." It was Silence of the Lambs. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll take
Not a
that."
good look.
I know. What a fucking
Which, like, I will give him credit.
doofus.
If someone arrested me in the troll hole full of, like,
I
paranormal
know.
paraphernalia and true crime skulls and shit,
Right.
it would not be cute. It would
And like,
be
who
a
doesn't
bad
have a
look.
copy of Silence of the Lambs? Like
Yeah, everyone's
just
got a
like,
Stephen King something. Jesus
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry, everyone. My alarm summoned all of us. What was that?
M's wake up alarm is so effing loud.
It has to be
It's
that
like,
loud or I won't wake up.
I know, and it's terrifying when it goes off in the room with you because it's like,
What's wild too is like that at that volume when I'm sleeping, I've slept through it, and there are videos of like the phone being right here as loud as possible, and I'm
it like
just snoring
feels
through it.
fake. It feels fake. I don't know how you must be astral projecting somewhere. There's no way your
I do
body
call
wouldn't
it
react.
I call it going to the beyond because I'm
Yeah,
like
that's right.
I'm not of this world anymore.
Oh my God. I broke into Wallace last night and I was like, thank God I'm broken to Wallace. I was so tired and I was like, I've had such bad insomnia. I was like, all right, I
What
better
happened?
focus. Nothing really happened. I just fell asleep. I was just like so grateful for your trick.
Isn't it a fun way to fall asleep though? It's like
It's so
pretty easy.
weird.
It's weirdly easy.
I don't understand how it works, but it works.
I think
Can
it's just
everybody
like
tell me that it works for you, or is it just me and Em? Like, are we just weirdos?
For those of you who need to know, I literally just envision Wallace is a wall named Wallace.
Oh, didn't we talk about this on the podcast?
We did, but in case anyone else is like, what the fuck was that? And I don't want to go back
I
and
was
re-listen.
so afraid for a minute that was never discussed, and I was like, I sound so
Imagine if you
patently
invented it and I'm hearing it for the first time.
No, don't say that. That's so twisted.
No, a Wallace is a wall that it started as me trying to meditate into falling asleep, and I accidentally flew too close to the sun, and now it puts me in the beyond, and I'm able to astral project.
You like access a parallel dimension.
It worked a
climb through the wall.
little too well, but basically it's like in my mind it's like just like how you described this the other day as like the wall from like a high school gym, like it's like that weird like overly painted like brick or something. Or like cinder blocks, whatever.
Concrete,
In my mind, the wall looks like that, and I just like get near it and I start like punching it or like grabbing at it until like the texture changes into putty and I can like climb in. And by the time I climb in, I'm quote I've fallen asleep.
It's like weird. It has worked
weirdly
for me multiple times. Because I said, "Oh, I did that last night," and Em said, "How'd it go?" And I was like, "I don't know. I fell right asleep."
Eventually, if you punch it hard enough, it just gets softer and softer, and then it just gets stretchy, and you just kind of find your way on the other side of Wallace.
And then I never
and
remember
now you're
anything.
in the beyond. Now you're in the beyond.
I mean, seriously, it's kind of amazing.
I think I cracked the case on how to trick yourself into falling into sleep. So,
I mean, it's really helped me. So, just worth a shout out. Anyway, so Silence of the Lambs, yes, it belongs to him, but he hesitates for a moment and decides against taking it. Probably good move, Sean. As he's led away, Lois is sitting on the stairs just sobbing, like just totally beside herself.
Yeah, and not only like sad that you just experienced the trauma of someone dying, the fear of like what happened and is that person on the loose and are they going to hurt me again later? Then your husband being arrested, whether or not he's guilty is hard. And then wondering if he's guilty and have you missed the signs all along? And
great point.
I mean, just so
and
many.
Having 4 other daughters to suddenly have to comfort and like.
And wondering if something happened there. And also on top of that, wondering like, is your own, like, this should not be your first thought, but like as a foster mom, like, is your own reputation soiled now? Like, are you ever going to be able to foster again because of this crisis, you know?
This is. Yeah.
And so like losing something that's really important to you and you grew up with on your own, like, so it's everything's shaky.
To have like, I imagine there's a special, I don't know, guilt or fear of when you're fostering someone that you're meant to take care of because they were displaced in a way that they didn't have the proper care, and now it's almost like you've failed at that.
Yeah, feeling like a failure or like you're not a safe person like you maybe thought
Yeah,
you
like you
were.
wanted your home to be a safe place for this child so that
Yeah.
because you felt for her and yeah, that must be just
And
heartbreaking.
like you said,
Heartbreaking.
they're worried about their own trauma of like, wow, you were already like going through something before you came here, and now like I've only
Mhm.
like made things like more vulnerable or unsafe for you, or
Mhm.
made you feel
Mhm.
panicky. Yeah.
It's just
Ooh,
it's yeah, it's terrible. No, you're right. I don't think I'd actually realized like
the
how many of
layers.
those layers were there, yeah, until you mentioned it. And Lois, man, she goes through it, this gal. So now this is just kind of a random aside, but I really Saoirse included it in the notes, and I just thought it was like a sweet moment, I guess. And you don't get many of those, like we mentioned in my stories. So a family liaison officer, FLO, I don't know if they're called FLOs or FLOs, but they're special investigators in the UK who work closely with victims' families, which I love that that exists. I don't know how the process works, but I love that that idea exists to ensure that the family receives updates and, can also be close to the family and maybe gather evidence through interactions with the family as well. So it's like they work closely, they're a liaison to the family. And one of them was assigned to the Jenkins family, and the officer who was assigned to their home recalled feeling genuinely upset that Sean might be guilty, because, like, the way that Lois was so devastated and the fact that this was his foster daughter, like, he just remembered being like, "I really hope that that's not the case." And apparently, while at the house, he accidentally put an electric kettle on the stove
Oh,
instead of a regular kettle, like, he was so kind of distracted and
yeah.
discombobulated, and it melted and started smoking, and Lois rushed into the kitchen panicked, and I guess just off the
Oops.
cuff, the guy said, "This is what we do to break the ice, don't worry," and apparently she started laughing for the first time and, like, through her crying, and I guess, like,
Yeah.
it broke the ice between them
She
actually,
needed
and
that.
yeah, it was almost like this moment, I guess, that they talk about in the, documentary of, like, oh, this is kind of where she sort of softened to him and maybe calmed enough
Yeah.
to open up a bit, and
Yeah.
it just seemed like a nice little, anecdote.
I mean, it was probably like I mean, like in the spirit of comedy, it was like breaking the tension, but like I think it also like physiologically broke her tension for a second, you know?
Absolutely, because the second you kinda laugh while you're crying, I feel like that really does, like, almost
Mhm.
switch off the tears a little
Like
bit,
gives you a second to breathe at least once.
Yeah, yeah, it
Untense, yeah.
I agree, I agree, I totally agree. So Lois later told the officer that she had more to say about Sean if he wanted to know, but she would only reveal it if he was officially charged. And I thought that
Mm.
was interesting. And I don't know why that is. My theory, which is just a theory of mine and mine alone, is maybe she didn't want to risk him coming home if she kind of ratted him out.
Mhm.
She wanted to make sure he was away before she
Yeah.
told on him? I don't know. But either way, she said she would wait to tell them what she knew until he was officially charged. So Sean was questioned because hundreds of microscopic blood droplets were found on the clothing he was wearing the day Billy was killed.
Uh-oh.
Forensic experts said it was like sort of an aerosolized blood spray, if you can imagine, like just
Mhm.
teeny droplets, sort
Like
of.
some like almost like a paint can from far
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
exactly, like the spray of a paint can. Uh, and they said it was consistent with what would be found on an attacker, but Sean denied this, saying that when he found Billy, he moved her and he saw a bubble of blood form in her nostril. And he said it either popped or retracted, but that's how the aerosolized blood got on me. I mean,
Oof.
eh, horrific, horrific, either way. A forensic theory then emerged that Billy may have died with a blockage in her airway, so possibly a blood clot, which could have built up pressure. And then when Sean moved her, maybe a fine mist of blood came out. But forensic scientists kept trying to replicate it and they couldn't make it work. And it just seemed unreasonable. So they kind of tossed that theory. Sean was initially released on bail while they investigated this, but when they couldn't hold up this theory at all, and that theory couldn't be proven, he was arrested again and then formally
But could
charged
he
with
shave?
Billy's murder. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I hope he got time to shower.
I hope
But I
he
know
knew
that's
I hope they called him in advance, like, we're coming over, get your stuff
yeah.
together, get another book.
Please read The Room, pick a better book,
Yeah, exactly.
pick a Brene Brown maybe, then come with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hundreds of people attended Billy's funeral. Sean was not present. Billy's birth mother, Debbie Woods,
Mm,
specifically requested that Lois Jenkins not attend either.
I
And
kinda
so
don't blame
I
her.
don't blame her. I don't. If she's hosting the funeral, I mean, listen,
Well,
I've
also,
never
like,
been in a scenario like this, but I don't feel I'm in a place to critique, you know?
I also feel like, I mean, like, if your daughter, whether or not it was, we don't know who did this just yet, but especially because it was up in the air and we don't know who's responsible, but my child was left in your care and now this happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to see
Even
you right now, you know?
on an emotional level to even look at you. It's not even
Yeah.
about like, oh, exactly. And I think that's the spirit that it was done in, especially because one of Debbie's friends defended Debbie's decision, saying Lois is obviously grieving. That's a foster mother.
Yeah.
Lois is obviously grieving as much as anyone, but she is married to the man charged with murdering Billy.
Yeah.
Like,
Not
what
not the
her mom
time.
can't take this right now, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's a lot. Despite this, Lois attended anyway and brought all of her daughters.
Ooh, that feels, yeah,
I
first
didn't
of all,
like that.
bad. Yeah.
I didn't like that.
That almost, this is such a weird thing, that almost makes me think that the family is guilty all of a sudden, um, just because I'm like, to have that, I understand wanting to go and pay your respects, but to do it disrespectfully, like, after being asked to not be there, feels like you've got some sort of brazen entitlement
Yeah,
during
yeah.
such, like, a really vulnerable moment. It's, like, the
It's a
most
very
vulnerable
bad
moment.
the most vulnerable moment, and
Yeah.
it honestly was not a good look. It, like you said, it just didn't end it also didn't end well. When Debbie saw them, she was reportedly horrified. She
Yeah.
fled the church sobbing, and she missed the entire service and the burial.
I
She
mean,
didn't
yeah.
attend her daughter's burial.
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be, if the potential killer or relative of the person who killed the person
Mhm.
I love the most in the entire world just appeared after being asked to, like, respect my wishes.
When you were expecting not to see them, especially, like, the shock.
And you are expecting to have the worst day of your life already.
Yep.
I'd be
Yep.
like, first of all, like, there's no way to ruin this day for me, but you found a
Right,
way,
right.
you know?
But you somehow found a way. That's a great way of putting it. Like, how did you make the worst day of my life even worse? Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
exactly. No, I found that really disrespectful. And this really, really deepened the divide between Billy's birth family and her foster family. I mean,
Hmm.
just so weird that their names are both Jenkins. Also, it's like, it just can't
The
get more
stars
muddy.
aligned in a really fucked up way that day.
Exactly, exactly. Billy's father, which I love, his name is Bill. Billy's father, Bill, had once hoped to regain custody of his daughter, and in later years, Billy's younger sister, Margaret, actually reflected on this, and she said, "We thought Billy was going up in the world. We were so proud of her. She was really going to make something of herself." And so it just, like, her birth family was just so devastated because I think there was also, on both sides, there are different, I imagine, like, nuances to the guilt and the the grief, but for the birth family, you know, you think like, "Oh, I'm sure they feel like, oh, we shouldn't have put her up for fostering. We shouldn't have, you know, would coulda, shoulda, woulda." I
Hmm.
feel like on the birth family's part was really intense.
Yeah.
And so just a very tough time for everybody. And that's not to say her foster family didn't suffer either. I mean, I think that the friend made a great point of like, you know, of course Lois is grieving as well, but like we
But
just
there's a time
need
and a place, and there's a hierarchy here.
yeah, there's a
And
hierarchy
and
here
there's
and
also,
like
this is a very awkward situation that you are firmly in the center of. Like,
yeah,
you are
yeah.
not the person who gets to call the shots currently.
Yeah, not when the guy's in is charged with the murder.
And
Your husband's charged with the murder.
not only that, but when he's not just charged for the murder, but then being like, "Oh, can I shave?" and like being kind of like a bit of buffoony during
Yeah.
this. It's like
Yeah.
nothing's helping your case right now. Like you need to just roll with whatever everyone
No,
else
you're
wants to
totally
do.
right. And it just created more animosity um, between the families. And then as Sean's trial did begin, which was April 1998, they had so much damaging character evidence against him.
Mm.
Lois herself broke her silence and revealed that Sean was violent. She alleged that he once hit her so hard that it perforated her eardrum
Oh my god.
and that he had strangled her in the past as well. While Lois said she had never actually seen Sean hit Billy, she described that he had what she called vein popping rage toward
Ooh,
Billy. Yeah. Oh my
not
god,
good.
I set off balloons. I'm sorry. Fuck. God damn it. I gotta figure out how to turn that off. I swear that wasn't on purpose,
It's almost a
everybody.
jump scare. It's not even that it's funny. It's just actually
It's
just
just like adds to
jumps.
the horror show. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It like
Yeah.
makes it scarier.
How do we someone reach out to Apple and
I
tell
know
them?
how to do it. I just always forget before we record, and then I hold up 2 fingers and suddenly everyone thinks it's a party. Like, how many times do people actually have parties on here that they think, like, balloons are gonna be required every time someone says the number 2? Okay, so she had alleged, I apologize about that, that he had once hit her so hard it perforated her eardrum and that he had strangled her. Again, um she said she hadn't seen him hit Billy, but he had this vein popping rage toward Billy, which is a huge red
Yeah.
flag in my
Doesn't
book.
doesn't help,
Doesn't
certainly.
help. No. So then other witnesses come forward. One of them is a family friend named Peter Gamester, and he testifies that Sean had been violent toward Billy and he had seen it himself.
Oh boy.
Yep, he says that on a family vacation to France, Billy had sprained her ankle, and Sean accused her of faking it for attention and sent her to bed as a punishment.
Uh-huh.
Later that night, Peter heard Sean enter Billy's room, and when he went and looked in to be like, what's he doing? He saw Sean kicking Billy violently in anger.
Hmm.
And he said in court, this is what he testified, there is no such thing as a playful kick. It was a proper aggressive kick. Because I imagine maybe they
Yeah.
cross examined him more like, could it have been a playful kick? And he's like, you can't playfully kick your own child. Sorry, that's nothing. Nice try. So other school friends later revealed that Billy once came to school with scratches on her face and neck. She broke down crying when they asked what happened and said that Sean had been hitting the family dog and she tried to intervene. So he
Oof.
picked her up and threw her against a door. Another friend recalled Billy wearing a scarf, and they realized that she was hiding bruises underneath it.
Uh,
And apparently, 1 month before her murder, she had told multiple friends, quote, I had an argument with my dad again. You can guess what happened.
Oy. Man, this guy's going away. Wow.
Now, this is where I tell you Sean's defense will be part 2.
Is that the end of the episode?
That's the end.
Christine.
I'm sorry, but I'm not.
All right. I didn't like that. I would like to know what happens next. Man, I mean, he's going away. I just predicting things here. It will be quite a plot twist if he isn't the one that ends up in jail for this.
No comment. Except
Plot twist.
hold that
Okay.
thought.
Well,
There's a little bit of plot twistiness, and you're not gonna like it.
I will tell you, whoever is guilty is at this moment in the story really thinking they're going to get away with it. Then they're just like, oh, man, they found the perfect prime suspect. I'm just going to sit back, made in the shade. Okay,
Well, not quite. You're not there yet, but
I'll figure it out eventually. By the end of the story, probably.
as soon as I tell you, you'll know exactly.
Yeah, I'll
what
know
happened. I'm just kidding.
eventually.
I'm
Don't you
just kidding.
worry.
No, you're pretty much on point. But yeah, there's some twistiness, some weird side quests and some strange updates that I have for you next week.
Okay. Well, great. And with that, thanks for coming to the show, everyone. We are going to do our yappy hour and keep chit-chatting.
Keep the good
And
times rolling.
yeah, weren't we supposed to do something this week? I feel like we hadn't.
Oh, yeah. What was I supposed to do with you this week? There was something special. Why would we not write that down?
We never do. We always think we'll remember.
I'll go back and listen and find out. And then we'll do whatever it is that we promised we would do last week. Because I remember being pretty excited about it.
Wasn't there a quiz or something? We're
Maybe?
supposed to show things? Anything to show?
No.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Please come to our Poor Decisions tour. These are the last shows of Poor Decisions before we retire the show. And until we figure out what we're going to do with our previous tours, it will be extinct essentially until
In the Disney vault.
in the vault. That's a great way to put it. All right. Well, thanks everyone. And
That's
why
we
drink.